Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook Chapter 41, Slave Trader. The tutorials in that book are not difficult. After all, they are the most basic things. It only took Claire an hour or two to master it. There are so many monsters in his world. Although he can't use them now, he can use them later. The effect is definitely great. For example, the mount used by the royal guard of the neighboring country is the griffin, which is one of the state secrets of the neighboring country. Except for their kingdom, few other kingdoms can master the method of controlling the monster like the griffin. Claire wondered why she would have to get a few dragons for her knights to ride in the future. It was impossible for a purebred dragon. Once a dragon of that level became an adult, it would be a legendary creature at the level of the sage. Now there are no ashes left by Claire, who is only an intermediate mage, but it is still possible to get a few dragonborn, such as two-headed dragons. A euro. Claire woke up early in the morning. Generally speaking, mages don't need a lot of sleep. Meditation can replace sleep. After breakfast, under the leadership of Reagan, Claire walked to those construction sites, where the construction workers stopped their work and saluted Claire when they saw Claire coming. Your Excellency the Viscount, Guyan. Claire showed a friendly smile. You guys are busy with your work, I'm just here to take a look. There are special architects in this city, and Claire doesn't have to worry about this. Just come and see how the process is going. The foundation has been laid, and the next step is to build a house on it, and what Claire wants is not as gorgeous as the previous life, as long as it can meet the needs of use, and it will take a week to estimate the time according to this progress. These buildings can be built. The time is not too fast, the main reason is that there are too many people. When the people in the territory heard that Claire was going to build a hospital and a school, everyone who was idle came over to help. Hundreds of people are busy. If it weren't for the lack of light at night, they'd have to work 2 shifts. Compared with the construction of hospitals and schools, the underground sewage discharge is much slower. After all, everyone has no experience in this area. Generally, it is enough to directly throw the sewage and garbage out of the door. Where is there such a pipeline system for sewage discharge? However, after Claire issued that announcement, the residents of Nafu City also spontaneously cleaned up the and filth on the streets. At least Claire could no longer smell the pungent stench when she walked on the streets. Moreover, under the explanation and guidance of Claire's principles, I don't know that the architects did not understand it. They seem to have realized something. These days, they have been digging sewage pipes under the city of Nafu, and they have made it look like it's almost the same as Claire's impression. Seeing the city gradually getting better in his hands, a sense of pride rose in Claire's heart. But before he went around much, Reagan, who was beside him, reported something to Claire. Master. A slave trader came from outside the city. This world is not just as simple as feudalism. There are many tribal orc gathering areas under the Orc Empire in the west, and at the junction of the 3 human kingdoms in the center is the Empire of Light, which is based on religion. Therefore, although slaves are in some kingdoms are forbidden, but in this kingdom where Claire is located, it is not forbidden. It is even very fair. Some noble families keep a lot of slaves for entertainment. Go and have a look. Claire said, but she was very puzzled. Most of the slaves were plundered from the defeated countries, but the kingdom where Claire is located is in the easternmost kingdom. It is not like bordering some foreign kingdoms. The fighting is so fierce, so there are very few slave traders. See, even if they appear, they are all in the prosperous capital, and it is even rarer to come to a remote place like my own Viscount. As soon as they walked out of the city gate, Claire saw a long group of carriages, with camels carrying rows of iron cages. The iron cage was much larger than the one in Claire's impression, and the slaves in it were not the human beings he imagined. They were giants over 2 meters tall with horns on their backs. Their faces were not so ugly, but it's just different from humans, more like a cow's face. Tauren? Claire asked suspiciously. The slave trader on the side saw that after Claire came out and there were a bunch of people following him, they knew that this young man was the lord of this territory. So he hurriedly put on a smile and moved forward. This young master must be the Viscount with such a graceful demeanor. Yeah. Claire responded casually, but he was still looking at the Tauren in the iron cage. He had only seen this kind of creature in anime. The slave trader didn't seem to feel Claire's perfunctory, so he pulled Claire to the iron cage and introduced, as the Viscount interested in these Tauren. 6 gold coins can take one away, I have more here. 23. All you need is 120 gold coins. Claire frowned. It wasn't expensive at all, but he didn't know what to do with the Tauren he bought. Could it be that he bought farmland? Or to increase the biodiversity within Nafu? After hesitating, one of the people who came out behind Claire suddenly raised his hand and said, "Uncle. You don't have beast ears for sale here, do you?" Claire turned around suddenly. There is actually a Fu Rui control in his own people. But then he still set his sights on the face of the slave trader. Instead of spending more than 100 to buy a bunch of Tauren, he might as well buy some beast-eared maids. Ah. The slave trader scratched his head embarrassedly and explained, those half-orcs were sold when they were in the capital, so these Tauren were left behind. His meaning is very clear, if these Tauren couldn't be sold, he wouldn't have pulled them to such a remote place to sell them. It was the same in the beginning. Even if the nobles bought slaves for guards, they would buy some warriors from the Wolf clan or Cat clan and take a team of Tauren out, which would be laughed at by other nobles. Seeing the hesitant look on Claire's face again, the slave trader hurriedly said, "Don't worry, although there are no half-orcs. That is what you call the beast-eared girl, but I have a half-elf in my hand, look not interested." Hearing what the other party said, Claire became interested, "Take me to see it." The slave trader led Claire into an iron cage covered with sackcloth, www.mtlnovel.com. This cage is much smaller than the cage where the Tauren were held. The slave trader opened the cage, revealing the half-elf imprisoned inside, with fair skin and long, pointed ears, and the delicate appearance was exactly the same as the elf in Claire's impression. The sackcloth was torn open, and the sun pierced in. The half-elf stretched out his hand to block his eyes, so as not to be dazzled by the sun. With a weak posture, he glanced at the slave trader who had uncovered the sackcloth, and then glanced at the slave trader who was standing there. Claire, who was on the side, then curled up in the corner of the iron cage, unable to care about the outside world. "I'm right, these are half-elves and the elves in the Forest of Elves look similar. Do you think you're interested? It stands to reason that slaves like half-elves should have been sold in the capital a long time ago. Why did you bring them here?" Claire asked, looking directly into the other's eyes. The slave trader wiped the sweat on his forehead and said with a smile, "It seems that you can't hide anything from you, Lord Viscount. Don't look at her weak posture, she has a very strong temper, and she can't speak common language, so the nobles in the capital did not choose to buy her. But if you want to buy it, I will give you a 50% discount, and you can buy it for 50 gold coins." Claire glanced at the other person suspiciously. "Why do you think I will buy something that no one else buys?" "Don't. I'll give you a 30% discount. 30 gold coins, I won't be able to get back to the basics." The slave trader begged, and she knows a lot of things, elf magic, and medicine. Quote. Hearing that Claire's eyes flickered, he secretly said in his heart, knowing medical skills. "It happens that my Viscount is lacking a doctor." Chapter 42. Tauren Hammer. The slave trader saw that Claire stopped, so he added more strength. "Only 30 gold coins are a good deal. Look at how good she looks. No matter how beautiful it is, it's still a rose with thorns. I might as well spend 30 gold coins to buy 5 Tauren. They still have a lot of strength. What does this half-elf have? Not." The slave trader smacking his lips, "That's true, otherwise he wouldn't have brought the half-elf and Tauren here." "Okay, then if you don't buy half-elves, you can take a look at these Tauren. They can support several people at once, and they are definitely good at work." Claire walked over to the Tauren and glanced at it, then shook her head. "You can buy it but it's not necessary." The slave trader looked bitter now. Claire's viscounty is already the most remote place. If you go further south, you won't be able to find any land and go straight into the sea. He can't bring these slaves back. So he pleaded with a bitter face, "You think about it, I'll give you a discount." Claire sighed, "I see it's really hard for you to come so far, so come on, I'll give you 100 gold coins, and you can sell them all to me." Although Claire's current wealth exceeds 500,000 gold coins, she still needs to save what she can save. Anyway, it's just a waste of a few words. Sure enough, as Claire expected, the slave trader's expression was tangled for a while, then he clenched his teeth and stomped his foot. "Make a deal. The half-elf I just said included the half-elf," Claire suggested. "Of course. I can't sell it anyway, so it's a gift for you." Claire didn't bother Reagan either. He took out a small bag of gold coins from his space ring and threw them to the other party. He still had 100 gold coins on him. I want to ask you something, is the Orc Empire still at war with us humans? Claire asked casually. The slave trader opened the small bag, counted the gold coins inside, and said without raising his head, of course, these slaves came from there, but don't worry, there are several human kingdoms across the place where the war started. Well, no matter how you fight, it won't spread to here. Claire smiled, he wasn't worried, just asked casually. After counting the gold coins in the bag, the slave trader showed a happy smile. Then these slaves are handed over to you, and I will ship them to you later when new goods arrive. Walk slowly. Claire replied. After the slave trader sent someone to unload the iron cages containing the slaves, he took his motorcade and drove away, leaving only a trail of raised dust. Claire waved his hand on the tip of his nose to drive away the scattered dust, thinking in his heart, I forgot before, it seems that road construction has to be put on the agenda. Otherwise, not to mention Nafu City in the Viscount and various the traffic in the village, even other caravans are difficult to enter. If you want to develop the entire viscounty, it is not enough to rely on the self-circulation within the territory, and you have to attract wealth from outside to flow in. Row. The iron cage was placed on the ground, and the Tauren inside looked at the onlookers outside the cage and looked at him with curious eyes, his head drooping involuntarily. Can you talk? Claire walked over to a Tauren who looked the most like the leader. The other party raised his huge head and looked at him with those round eyes. The innocent eyes and the big head looked particularly simple and honest. Seeing that the other party didn't speak, Claire tentatively said, Moo. I can speak common language, are you our master after you bought us? The Tauren said. It's good that you can talk. Claire simply sat up across from the other side, how did you get caught? On the battlefield, I couldn't beat you and then I was arrested. The other party answered honestly. How did you get on the battlefield? Don't you Tauren live as a tribe? It's rare to see any of you who like to fight. The village was starved, and there was no way to be hungry. Then I heard that the Orc Empire recruited soldiers to feed themselves, and then they went to the battlefield. That's it. The other party said honestly, that's it. Crack. Claire opened the iron cage directly with the key. This move shocked the people around him, and he quickly stepped back and went out a few steps. It was a Tauren who was over 2 meters tall, and he could smash himself into meat sauce with a single collision. It's just that the Tauren inside saw that the iron cage was opened. Not only did he not come out, but also persuaded, why don't you lock the cage, they seem to be afraid of me. When Claire heard the other party's words, she almost couldn't hold back her laughter. Sure enough, this Tauren was just like what she read in the book, honest, and friendly and would not easily cause trouble. What is your name? Hammer. Claire smiled and said, is the hammer right, I'll sign a contract with you. A master-servant contract. I signed it before. Hammer glanced at the scroll of parchment in Claire's hand, which was the master-servant contract they signed. Those master-servant contracts are not simple written contracts, but magical contracts. Claire can completely use that contract to decide their life and death, which is why those nobles can buy these slaves with peace of mind. It's not a master-servant contract, it's a labor contract. How about you help me move bricks and build a city, how about I keep you full? Claire laughed. These Tauren are indeed very powerful. If they are used to build a city, the speed can be much faster. Eat enough. Really? Hammer's eyes shone brightly, and they were even able to go to the battlefield to get enough food, let alone move bricks. More than that, if you can earn money in the future, you can come to me to buy back your master-servant contract and become a free person again. How about this proposal? Okay. Hammer said excitedly, not knowing whether he was excited to become a free man again or to be able to eat his fill. Claire took the key and opened all the remaining 22 iron cages. The crowd around them only felt darkness in front of them, and they were filled with wall-like Tauren. Seeing the curious and surprised expressions in the eyes of the people, those Tauren were a little restless, so they had to stand on the spot and scratch their heads. Is it true that you just said that you can get enough food by working for you? Hammer asked again. Of course. Claire replied with a smile. Goo. At this moment, I don't know which Tauren's stomach just happened to sound, and everyone turned to look over. The Tauren was embarrassed and wanted to find a place to burrow in. It's all right. We can eat after work. Hammer hurriedly said, You reading www. Yequan. Com was afraid that Claire thought they were cheating liars. Let's eat first, how can you work when you are hungry? There are hundreds of good workers working every day in the city of Nafu, so the food is well prepared, and soon someone pushed out a large basket of bread and meat from the city. The moment he saw the bread again, the sound of his stomach came one after another, like drumming. However, without Claire speaking, they all just stood there wiping their saliva without any change, and Claire nodded with satisfaction. These Tauren were quite obedient. So he said, Eat it. The Tauren did not snatch, but in an orderly manner, the Hammer distributed bread in front, and the rest of the Tauren lined up behind. After receiving his own portion, he ran to the side and ate. This made Claire even more at ease. Being so orderly means that it can be managed. In addition, the Tauren's honest character shouldn't have any impact in Nafu City. But soon saw that the large basket of bread was quickly consumed by more than half, and Claire sent people to bring several baskets of bread and other food. However, the food that was brought over quickly disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the people on the side couldn't help but exclaim, This is too good to eat. I've been hungry for 3 days and can't eat that much. Will the Viscount go bankrupt? Someone was already worried about Claire. There are more and more people watching, but they are not so afraid of these Tauren. Claire made people run back and forth 5 or 6 times, and the speed of those Tauren eating slowed down, more than Claire imagined. Chapter 43. Spiritual Connection. Hiccup. The Hammer burped loudly, then scratched his head embarrassedly and put down the frame with the bread. Claire stepped forward and asked, Are you full? The Tauren people touched their round belly and showed their big white teeth. I'm full. We haven't been so full for a long time. When we were in war, we didn't finish our last meal. The team they were in was almost destroyed by them, and Hammer is still wondering if he was caught by humans because his cows were too edible, and then they were abandoned by those orcs. It's time to work when you're full. Claire joked, if you don't do well, you won't want to be so full in the future. We will do it well. Master. The Hammer patted his chest and assured. Call me Lord or Lord Viscount. Claire said, he still doesn't like being called master by others, even the maids in the Viscount's mansion call him Lord or Lord Viscount. Although he didn't understand what the young master and the Viscount meant, the Hammer still taught the Tauren behind him, and finally said in unison, we will definitely do it well. The Viscount. The roar that was so close at hand almost didn't make Claire's ears vibrate. He rubbed his ears and brought the hammers to the construction site. The workers who were still working saw the 20 or so behemoths. He stopped what he was doing and looked around curiously. Claire glanced around. It was obviously unrealistic to let these Tauren build walls, not to mention whether they would. Those bricks were not as big as their palms, they were like toys in their hands, and they were stacked one by one. It really embarrassed them. Claire's eyes finally fell on the larger building materials, pointed to the marble used as the door beams and pillars, and said, Can you try to move this? I'm coming. The Hammer pushed the Tauren brother who stepped forward and walked to a marble by himself. Claire also looked at it. The marble was 3 or 4 meters long, and the size was as big as a child could hold around it, but with the naked eye, it should have weighed more than 1 ton. If it were these workers to fight it, it would take 5 or 6 people to fight it, and it would be very inconvenient to transport it. But the iron hammer directly clamped it to his waist with one hand, and lifted the piece of marble with ease, looking at its expression without any effort. Claire's eyes lit up, it seemed that her $100 gold coins were worth the money. Where are you moving? Lord Viscount. Hammer turned his head. Move here and put it on this. The architect beside him immediately shouted. Oh. The Hammer walked towards the other party with strides, making a deep sound with each step. The rest of the Tauren were not idle. They all ran over to resist the building materials that were large and difficult to carry, and placed them one by one under the architect's instructions. If it is found that he is not working, he may not have enough to eat. When she was a little free, Claire called the architect. How long will it take to complete it if they join in? The architect made a rough estimate in his mind, and then said, a simple building like a hospital can be completed in 3 or 4 days, but a more time-consuming building like a school will take longer, but it can be completed within a week. Claire nodded, waved the other party away, and then called Reagan. Remember to make more food. Claire glanced at the Tauren who were working hard. If they didn't do enough, these honest cows would starve. Regan nodded and took the notes. He is now the administrative officer of the Viscounty, and he is naturally responsible for these trivial matters. Watch here, I'll go back to the mansion first. Claire hadn't forgotten that there was a half-elf among the slaves she bought, and that was her main goal. Young master, walk slowly. Regan said respectfully. €. The half-elf's iron cage, Claire didn't dare to open it. The slave trader said in the introduction at the time that the other party's temperament was not as honest as the Tauren, so Claire kept it locked, and directly performed a levitating technique, and then held the big one. The iron cage was moved to the 6th floor. The other party was very quiet. Even when Claire moved her to the 6th floor, she didn't see any abnormal noise, she just curled up in the corner of the iron cage and lowered her head without saying a word. It was just noon now, and Claire instructed Una to make one more lunch, and then went down and brought up both lunches by herself. After the lunch was brought into the room, he finally reacted to the reaction. Those beautiful eyes finally moved away from him and placed them on the food in Claire's hands. Claire found a low table, put food on it, moved it to the edge of the iron cage, and moved the reclining chair over to eat with the other party here. Just while performing this series of actions, a thought suddenly popped into Claire's mind. How do I feel like I'm boiling an eagle? Shaking his head and throwing his thoughts out of his head, Claire pointed to the food on the table and said to the half-elf, eating, can you understand? I don't know if the other party understood Claire's words, or the smell of the food attracted her, and the half-elf slowly approached from the corner beside the iron cage. At first, although he glanced at Claire with some fear, in the end, he couldn't resist the smell of the food. When he reacted, the strange-looking food had already entered his mouth. The moment the other party ate the braised pork, Claire could clearly see a light flashing in the other party's eyes, and it was no longer the previous appearance that everything had nothing to do with me. Claire smiled and didn't continue to say anything, just sat and had dinner with each other. Soon the other party's portion of meat was eaten, but the bowl of rice hadn't been touched. I want to eat like this. Claire showed the other party with the rice between the pieces of meat. But the half-elf glanced at his empty plate and at Claire, tilted his head, as if to say that I have no meat here. Claire simply gave the other half the rest of her braised pork, and then the half-elf followed Claire's way and started eating. After eating, Claire removed the table, but the other party did not continue to curl up in the corner. Instead, she looked at Claire with her beautiful and smart eyes. The distance has drawn a lot. After Claire cleaned up, she gave him a friendly smile. Hello. The other party tilted his head again, not understanding Claire's actions very well. Oh, I forgot that you don't know common language. Claire immediately tried to communicate with the other party using magic words, but in return, the other party still had a curious expression on her face. I can't speak magic words either. Claire scratched her head in embarrassment. The magic language of humans originated from the magic spells of elves and dragons, and the magic language of dragons and elves originated from the gods, so Claire thought that if the other party knew magic, even if they did not know the common language, they should understand the magic language of. Isn't it? Is it possible that I have to go and learn Elvish language? Then the cost of hiring a doctor is too high. Claire sat back on the reclining chair and continued to think of a solution, but with a casual glance, she saw the traded book she had placed on the table last night. Immediately, his eyes lit up. Lan Zhao said that this can establish a connection with the pet and convey the emotions between the two. Maybe this can be used to communicate with this half-elf, there is no harm in trying it. With this thought in mind, Claire sank his heart and walked in front of the other party. According to the method in the book, he slowly drew a spiritual thread, and the thread slowly floated to the half-elf's forehead. The other party just glanced at the spiritual thread did not escape. The silk thread also smoothly penetrated into the opponent's body. At the moment of immersion, Claire could feel that her heart was suddenly opened by something, and she was connected to the opponent. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel Chapter 44, Rona. Hello. Claire waved her hand and passed on her friendly emotions to the past. The other party tilted his head again, as if he felt the friendly emotion, and the originally dull eyes became slightly more agile. Hello €. The next second, the corners of Claire's eyes opened slightly, and a pleasant but somewhat weak voice sounded in his mind. This spiritual connection can actually communicate across languages. Is it the mutation that happened because the book came to this world? When I was on Lanjiao's plane before, I was connected to some pets that didn't use a specific language system, so I didn't have this function. When the other party saw Claire in a daze, he waved his hand in front of him, drawing Claire's attention back. Claire shook her head and threw those distracting thoughts out of her head. I'll check it later when I have time. Hello, my name is Claire, what's your name? Claire smiled. Although this spiritual connection conveys language, the emotional aspect has not declined. Claire can clearly feel that the other party is not very defensive about him now, so I try my best to show my friendliness. What is this? It's amazing, I can feel that you have no ill will towards me. The half-elf sent another message, and then said, my name is Rona. It's a very nice name. Claire praised, this is a common way of getting in touch with others. I can feel that you don't think this name sounds good. Rona said quietly. Claire had forgotten that she was still spiritually connected to the other party, so she had to show an embarrassed smile. How could he know the names of these Westerners? How did you get caught? Claire diverted the topic. Forget it, I was arrested after I slept in the forest. Claire was puzzled. Generally speaking, humans are rarely able to approach the gathering area of a elves, even half-elves. Elves are the darlings of natural magic, and an adult elves have the strength of a wizard. Even half-elves have the strength of high-level mages, and they are extremely protective, and humans rarely dare to provoke them. Rona sensed the doubts in Claire's heart, and said directly, I came out as a wanderer. Claire immediately dismissed the thoughts in her mind. The mistake she made just now is now made again. In order to avoid leaking the blind thoughts in his mind again, Claire asked straight to the point, you know medicine? The other party nodded, I learned it in the village before, but unlike your medical skills, most of us use herbal medicine for treatment. Claire nodded, oh, it's similar to Chinese medicine. What is traditional Chinese medicine? Rona looked over with curious eyes. It's nothing. Claire said perfunctory it's really hard to control the thoughts in her mind, just end it quickly and disconnect this mental connection. I want to hire you to be a doctor in Nafu City, are you willing? My slave contract is in your hands, as long as you give an order, you don't need to ask me if I want it or not. I don't like doing things that force others. The other party is different from those naive Tauren. Those Tauren can work honestly if they have food, and Rona, as a half-elf, has medical skills far beyond that of human doctors, so Claire hopes that the other party is willing to become a doctor in Nafu City, instead of forcing it. Rona raised her head and looked at the handsome young man in front of her. She could clearly feel that what the other party said at the moment was true, and the emotions conveyed were extremely friendly, which was the kind of friendliness she had never seen before. The humans she met before either looked at her body with lustful and greedy eyes, or looked condescending. No one had ever given her such a friendly feeling. And the other party can take the initiative to distribute food to himself, so he shouldn't be a bad person. But Rona was still a little hesitant. I don't know your language, and your people may be afraid of my appearance. You don't need to communicate. You can just give him medicine when the other party comes. The people in the Viscount are still very friendly, and in terms of our human aesthetics, you look good and they won't be afraid of you. Claire laughed. Luo Na was stunned for a while. The other party didn't lie to her. Okay, €1. The deal will be rewarded with 10 gold coins a month. I don't want money. Rona shook her head. Then leave it with me. If you want to buy anything in the future, you can ask me for it. Claire smiled, and then took out the master-servant contract with the other party from the space ring and handed it to the other party. Rona looked at the contract in her hand in surprise. This. Now that you are a doctor of the Viscounty, how can you still be a slave? You are free now. Rona looked up at Claire and asked, you gave me this thing, aren't you afraid I'll run away? Claire pointed to her head and said, the emotions transmitted from you tell me that you will not run away, and I have the confidence to run Nafu City into a city that everyone doesn't want to go back to once they come. Oh right. Claire suddenly patted her head and shouted, I've been talking to you for so long, I forgot that you were still in the iron cage. The iron cage opened with a click, and the other party slowly walked out of it. After walking out, Rona was a bit taller than Claire, and she showed off her better figure, with bumps and bumps. Coupled with her elf's iconic blonde hair, she looked extravagant. Claire tried her best to control her mind, and some strange thoughts came out. Then he said politely, "You can take a shower first, turn left from the bathroom, and I'll ask the maid to get you a suitable dress later." Rona didn't refuse. After being caught, she spent most of her days in an iron cage. She couldn't remember how long she hadn't taken a bath, and the half-elf inherited the elf's habit of cleanliness, so of course she can take a bath first. It's the best. A euro. After Rona finished washing up, she opened the door of Claire's room again. Inside, Claire, who was writing quickly, looked up at the other party and lowered her head again after knowing who it was. After the other party went to take a bath, he turned off the mental connection, so now he has returned to the stage of language barrier. Rona didn't bother Claire, but looked at the decorations in the room, and gently kicked a gold cup next to the door with her foot. It was thrown by Claire during the third transaction before, and it hasn't been released yet. Go back. After taking a few steps, Rona set her eyes on the water-blue water cloud beast's egg, but Claire didn't put it back in her personal space, for fear that it wouldn't hatch. Rona walked to the water cloud beast egg and tapped it with her small hand. She could feel that there was life in it. This is the talent of a half-elf genetic elf, and it has a mysterious talent for biology. Claire didn't care about the other party, while Rona played with the egg herself, closing one eye and widening the other eye to approach the eggshell. www.mtlnovel.com. Want to see what creatures are hatching inside, and knocked all over again, listening to the sound coming back from inside. This egg in the whole room made her a little interested, but in the end, she picked it up and walked to Claire's side. Claire stopped writing, and saw the other person watching her writing and wanted to speak, but couldn't communicate due to language problems. So he performed another mental connection. "Don't worry, the hospital will be built in a few days, and it will be yours by then, you can do whatever you want. I'm not in a hurry, I'm just curious about what you're writing." Rona's eyes were fixed on the manuscript written in Claire's hands. She couldn't speak common language, let alone words. This. Claire picked up the manuscript on the desk and said proudly, "This is a textbook I wrote myself. This is the otherworldly version of the elementary school textbook that he hollowed out all the accumulation of his previous life and extracted from the 9-year compulsory education. It is mainly to teach some common sense knowledge in previous lives, such as, if the water is not boiled, there will be some kind of germs in it that will cause people to get sick." Claire found that most people in the Viscount land directly from the well, drink directly. There's also some knowledge about what germs can go on in moldy food. There will be books of fables and stories later, mainly about cultivating honesty, bravery, and how to be loyal to the Viscount, love the Viscount, etc., but this will be discussed later, and now Claire specializes in common sense knowledge. Rona touched the egg in her arms and asked, "How many words can you write at most in a day?" 5,000. Writing a book is going against the sky. 5,000 words is already the limit of human beings. Any more, it is easy to die suddenly. Chapter 45. Dumb Doctor. Time flies fast. In these days, the group of Tauran people worked hard, so that the co-workers who worked with them had a lot of goodwill towards these simple and honest Tauran aliens. And those public facilities buildings are also being completed rapidly. The hospital with the smallest building area is the first to be completed, but now there is only one doctor, Rona, in the empty hospital. However, Rona has not yet taken office, but went out of the city to collect medicine. Although the Griffin Viscounty is close to the sea, the area is still quite large, and the westernmost territory also includes a small branch of the Warcraft Mountains. There are all kinds of strange herbs and magical beasts in the mountains, but it is very far from the villages in Nafu City in the Viscount, so they are at peace. And the place where Rona went to collect the medicine was the same mountain range. Claire was not afraid that the other party would run away. When connecting spiritually, she could clearly feel that the other party meant to stay, and Rona herself was a junior magician, so simply let the other party go out to collect medicine. Elves are the darlings of nature, and half-elves who have inherited half of their blood are naturally familiar with the forest. So Claire didn't send any knights to follow. Those knights entered the forest, and they probably couldn't keep up with Rona's speed, and there were still many monsters in it, and they didn't know who was protecting whom when they were in danger. However, some interesting things happened during this period. Claire finally managed to get a literate night school and brought someone else's wife from the tax officer Robin to be a teacher, but the people in the Viscount were not interested, except for the people who went to see the lively every day, few people went there in the next few days. This makes Regan sad. He is now the administrative officer of the Viscounty, and it was a night school ordered by the young master and it was free. Those people didn't go, but after thinking about it, they couldn't think of a good solution. Come and tell Claire the truth. When Claire heard it, she was delighted on the spot, how easy it is to solve this matter. A further announcement was directly issued. Anyone who can read and write will receive an extra 5 silver coins when working for the Viscount, and in the future, there will be more new positions in Nafu City, and they need to meet the requirements of literacy before they can apply. As soon as the announcement came out, the classrooms of the night school were crowded that night. Most of those workers were working during the day. If they could read and write, they could receive 5 more silver coins, which is 4 cents of their current monthly salary. 1. It can bring a lot of changes to your family, at least when the child wants to eat some sweets, you don't have to tell the other party to be sensible. Not only some workers, but even some elderly people and women came to learn to read. Claire also doesn't expect the entire Viscount's people to be able to read and write. If a quarter of the people can read and write books, then the city of Naford will change a lot. However, with the development of Claire's otherworldly version of 9-year compulsory education, the literacy rate in the Viscount will definitely increase gradually. In the end, Claire asked Regan to raise the wages of the maids to 20 silver coins per month. In the past, they were only given 4 silver coins because of their hardships. Now that they are rich, the wages cannot be higher than the wages of outside work. Be less. A euro. A few days later, a newly posted notice appeared next to the notice, and people crowded up. They have already figured it out. Ever since the Viscount returned, the notices posted every time have been good news, and there has never been a bad thing that didn't suit their hearts. It's you again. Don't worry, I've told you how many times you're illiterate, so don't push in front of you. Why? I reported the name of the night school. Now I know 100 or 200 characters. I will be able to read the notice myself in a few days. Cut, who isn't? I've memorized almost 300 words now. What are you proud of? I lied to you just now, I have 400 on my back. I'm 500. I have 1,000. The two were still quarreling, and the notice above was read out by someone who could read. Ah, does our Viscount have a doctor? Will it be a quack doctor like the one last time? Someone worried. What do you think? This is a doctor hired by the Viscount, how could it be a quack doctor? Oh, blame me, blame me. I said something wrong, but where is the hospital above? It's the house that was just built, don't you know? Really? I want to go and have a look. Why are you running when you're not sick? Hey, wait for me, I'm going too. As a result, the yard outside the hospital's entrance was crowded with people who came to watch the fun. Rona, who was sitting inside, didn't respond much. She just glanced outside and found that no one came in, so she continued. Playing with the herbs that I collected. Hey, this is the half-elf that Lord Viscount bought a few days ago. Someone said in surprise. Oh, it turns out that the Viscount bought her because she was good at medicine. I thought. There were more and more people watching, and the discussions were getting louder and louder, but Rona still didn't respond, and she couldn't understand what these people were talking about. The only worry is the fear that Claire will make herself a doctor in Nafta City, and these people will not like it. But now there is no disgust in the eyes of the people watching, most of them are curious, so Rona's heart is put down, and she continues to organize the herbs she picked. Please let it go. A voice came from outside the crowd, and a big man walked in with the help of a man with ***** arms. His hand was accidentally smashed while building the school. We heard that the hospital had just opened, so we rushed over. Everyone gave way and let the big man help the man into the hospital. At this time, Luo Na stopped the sorting work in her hand and looked over. The big man said anxiously, his arm was smashed and injured, please help. And the man was also in pain. He closed his eyes and didn't dare to look at his ***** arm. He kept inhaling and making a hissing sound. Rona didn't speak, walked over and cast a survey magic. After roughly understanding the other's injury, she returned to the place where the herbs had just been sorted out, picked them up, and put some strange herbs in a stone mortar to grind them, and finally got a puddle of sticky green slime. During the whole process, Luona didn't speak. The big man and the man also closed their mouths consciously, lowering their voices. In the end, when Rona held the puddle of sticky green mucus and smeared it on the ****** wound, the man finally couldn't help but let out a soothing and stinging voice, sigh. But the next second, he closed his mouth again, feeling a little embarrassed. After the mucus was applied to it for 3 or 4 minutes, it had solidified into a lump, and Rona gently undid the lump of green solid, and the ***** arm inside was now showing baby white skin. This kind of injury did not hurt the bones, so the treatment is very simple. Claire can also be cured with a basic healing potion, but the cost will be much higher, and he does not have time to stay in the hospital all day to refine potion. The man looked at his healed arm in surprise. It's amazing, it hurt a lot just now, but it's all better now. www.mtlnovel.com. After Rona threw the green solid in the trash can, she returned. When I got to the previous place, I started to organize the herbs. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. The big man pulled the man and bowed several times in a row. They had no doubt that if it was the quack doctor from before, it was estimated that the amputation was now performed, and it was hard to say whether he would survive. It is precisely because I have seen the darkness that I am even more grateful to a doctor like Rona. But Rona didn't pay attention to the other party. Just like Claire said at the beginning, it doesn't matter if the treatment channel is not communicated. When the other party saw that Rona didn't speak in a quiet manner, she quickly closed her mouth, for fear of disturbing Rona who was sorting out the herbs. Finally, she whispered, "Doctor, you are busy, we will leave first." Saying that, she slowly backed out, but at this time, Rona suddenly frowned and thought of something, and she knocked on the table, and the crisp sound that came out stopped the two of them from shouting. Rona took out a copper coin from her bosom, then used magic to write the number 30 in the air, and put the copper coin in a storage box beside her. Rona breathed a sigh of relief after finishing this. I almost forgot, Claire said before that she would be charged. The two hurriedly took out 30 copper coins from their arms and put them in the storage box. They thanked them and withdrew. Compared with the 6 silver coins that the quack doctor received before, this new doctor's money was too much. Conscience. After this incident, news about Rona spread in Nafu City. There is a new doctor in Nafu City with a special conscience. No matter what kind of disease you have, as long as you enter the hospital, it will not be cured. But, she didn't seem to have spoken, she was a mute doctor. Chapter 46. Drink cooked water. Goodbye, big brother. Meili is going to school. Meili waved at Claire, carried the school bag Yuna sewed for her, and ran out. Since the Tauren of the 20-odd joined the construction site, the efficiency of the building has skyrocketed, and the school has been built very quickly. And that group of Na-Ve Tauren are almost becoming professional workers now, and they will do anything ***** the construction site. After finishing the school, I have now run over to dig sewers, and divided more than half of it to build roads. Nafu City is currently engaged in construction, so I don't have to worry about not working for them. Claire is now planning to build a road leading to other territories first, so that those merchants can smoothly enter her own Viscount territory. If there is no external capital injection, this city of Nafu is a backwater and cannot develop. Speaking of this school, Claire first built several teaching buildings, and then built many dormitories. Those children who live far away from Nafu City live directly in the school without any tuition fees. This is the otherworld version. 9-year compulsory education, although not necessarily 9 years, but compulsory education is definitely not charged. Those children just need to bring their own food to the school, and the canteen in the school will help. Of course, simply relying on the food is definitely not enough. Claire has to subsidize a lot of money every month, but it is all worth it. The more than a dozen teachers in the school were brought back by Claire from other places at a high cost. Each person has 3 gold coins a month and a room in the city of Nafu, so that the other party can take over his family and live there. In Nafu City, Claire, who was in character and so on, had considered it, and there was no big problem. He just spent a few days explaining to them the textbooks he had written. If they didn't understand, what would they teach those children? But after all this work, the school finally started smoothly. Claire didn't use any coercive measures, and the residents in the territory were happy to send their children over. They didn't have the opportunity before, but now they have the opportunity to let their children go to school for free, they are even more eager to send them over. In the future, if you can learn to work for the Viscount, then you will have nothing to worry about for the rest of your life. €. A few days after the school started, the children who had finished class started to talk to their parents when they returned home. Mom, you have to boil the water, otherwise there will be bugs in it. People will get sick if they eat it. Get used to it. I like it or not. Who told you that there are bugs in the water? The woman asked, crossing her hips, thinking it was some neighbor's joke to tease the children. It's written in the books that the teacher told me, and the books are all written by the Viscount. The boy also answered confidently with his hips on his shoulders. If he had never dared to talk to his mother like this before, but now the Viscount is behind him, backing him up, he felt confident in an instant. The woman glanced hesitantly at the well water she had scooped out of the bucket, and finally set a fire to boil the water. Of course there are different situations. Mom, you have to boil the water, or I won't drink it. Clap clap clap. The woman took off her child's pants and started fighting. Who gave you a habit? I haven't gotten sick after drinking it for so long. Ooh. This is what the teacher said. Stop beating, I was wrong, I don't drink boiled water. A generation of scientists fell on the spot. Although that is the knowledge taught in school, there are still some people who habitually don't boil water to drink. This has nothing to do with respecting Claire, it's just a habit. In a previous life, in order to promote boiled water, it also took a lot of time and effort. After Claire discovered this kind of problem, she then decided to go to the school herself and give a speech on it. Thanks to the school being built, Claire finally didn't have to run to the city gate this time. The audience of the speech was not only the students but also the parents of the students, as well as those who attended the night school. Anyway, anyone who was free in Nafu City could come and listen to the lecture. After the news spread, the people in the Viscount became excited again. I can see Lord Viscount's speech again. My blood boiled when I heard it before. I don't know what I'm talking about this time. You'll know when you go, whether you go or not. Of course, go, anyway, the afternoon is boring. €. Before the allotted time, people kept pouring in from the school. The playground was full of people, all of them looking at the podium on their feet to see when Claire would come out. When the time came, Claire also came to the stage. His principal was the principal of this school. He had prepared things for speeches in the principal's office early in the morning. As soon as Claire took the stage, she received thunderous applause. Clap clap clap. Lord Viscount, I'm here. Long live the Viscount. As soon as Claire took the stage, she received thunderous applause. Claire smiled. He could often feel the enthusiasm of the people. He pressed his hand and signaled the people below to calm down. Then he cast a loudspeaker on himself. Hello everyone. The main reason for calling everyone here this time is to explain the knowledge about hygiene. Presumably, all the parents who sent their children to school have told you one thing after the children returned. Boil the water before drinking it, otherwise there will be germs. Some of the children in the crowd below nodded their heads. Those textbooks are all made up by me, and they are all true, so they are not lying to you. Do you know the sewer project that is still going on? You all know that I spent a lot of money to build it, but do you know why I did it? Some people in the crowd below raised their hands. It's to make the streets free from those and feces, so that there is no odor when walking on the road. Claire pointed at the other party. That's right, but it didn't get to the root of the problem. Getting rid of odors is one aspect, but if you live in such an environment for a long time, will everyone be happy? What will happen to your body? Quote. They still understand this knowledge, and the man who raised his hand replied, I'll get sick. Yes. Everyone knows that rotten food can't be eaten because there are maggots on it, and rotten food can make people's bodies sick. If you live in a smelly environment for a long time, your body will also have problems. Everyone knows this, but I just can't figure out why I need to drink boiled water, right? Some people think that there is nothing wrong with my body after drinking raw water for so many years. This kind of thinking is wrong. Maybe you could have lived to 50 years old, but you die at the age of 40. Although the disease it brings is not so dangerous, it will subtly damage your body. Sometimes you feel healthy and suddenly get sick. This may be drinking the dangers of raw water. €. Think about it, everyone, if there are rotting corpses in the water, would everyone drink it? Everyone shook their heads, no. But if you take out the water in which the corpse was soaked and put it in front of you, can you tell whether it is clean water or dirty water? Everyone shook their heads again, I can't tell the difference. People get sick after eating rotten food, because there are germs that can make people sick in those rotten food, so eating it will cause problems in the body, and when those rotten food are immersed in water, the germs will also enter the water, and we can't tell the difference with the naked eye, so sometimes drinking raw water can cause the body to get sick. Claire has tried her best to explain it in a simple and easy to understand manner. If it goes deeper, I am afraid that the people will not understand it. This is why the 9-year compulsory education is carried out. The people in their own territory do not understand the matter. Of course there are germs not only in rotten food, but also in many things, and the best way to kill those germs is to kill them with high temperature. So do you know what to do? Everyone raised their hands and shouted, boil the water, drink cooked water. Hearing this, Claire smiled contentedly. After talking so much, it was not in vain. After a few days, I will get a microscope for them to see. It will be more explanatory. Leeuwenhoek can handle it. After rubbing out the microscope, he is still an intermediate mage, and it is not difficult to get it out. That's all for today, everyone, go back. Claire nodded slightly and walked off the podium. Regan immediately greeted him, young master, you've worked hard. Let's recruit more people to share the work. I can't call so many people every time I announce something, and things in Nafu City will be more and more dragged. I can't have to do every little thing myself. As ordered. Regan nodded. He was indeed too busy these days, and it was too exhausting for the entire Nafu City to be managed by one of his political officials. After Claire left, the people below slowly dispersed. A little boy walked in front with a kimbo on his hips and said dissatisfiedly, I said at the time that it was taught by the school, and you still want to beat me. Now the Viscount has said, do you still drink raw water when you go back? What are you proud of? If you can speak clearly like the Viscount, I won't listen to you. The woman scolded, stop, you still want to run. Mom, I was wrong, don't hit me. The little boy hugged his head and ran out. Chapter 47, Priest Omar. Pastor Omar, this is a little thought I offered to the Lord, please accept it. A woman took out 10 copper coins from her bosom and put them in Omar's hand. Pastor Omar had a kind smile on his face, the Lord will bless you and your family. There was also a happy expression on the woman's face. She took out 5 more copper coins and put them in the other party's hands, saying, I will offer some more, please tell the Lord for me, and let it bless the Viscount. Quote. Hearing Claire's honorable title, Pastor Omar's brows were slightly wrinkled, but he still maintained a peaceful expression and replied, if he believes in the Lord, then the Lord will naturally protect him. Omar paused for a while, then said, it's just that he hasn't been to the church for so long since he came back to the viscounty. The woman was stunned for a while and defended Claire, the Viscount must be too busy, and he should come over in the future. Pastor Omar also smiled slightly and skipped the topic. Why didn't your husband and child come together today? This woman belongs to the kind of particularly devout believers who come every week on a regular basis, and will bring her husband and children with her. My husband has gone to work for the Viscount, and he is very busy now, so I didn't force him to come. As for my boy, he is going to study at the school opened by the Viscount. Now this is the time to study, so I didn't come with you. Pastor Omar frowned, are these things more important than coming to worship? If they don't have a good heart, they will be punished and go to hell. Hearing this, the woman's face became panicked, and she defended, they are really busy, I will definitely bring them over to pray another day. Only then did Pastor Omar nodded with satisfaction, the Lord will bless you. Today is not the day of worship, so after the woman left, the church became empty again, leaving only Omar alone in the church. Omar walked to the door of the church, weighed the 15 copper coins in his hand, and looked sadly at the landmark building in Nafu City, the Viscount's palace. Since Claire returned to the viscounty, fewer and fewer people came to his church. Today, less than 30 people came to pray, and the money received was less than 5 silver coins. The Viscount doesn't know the rules very well. The first thing he did when he came back to the Viscounty was not to come to the church to be baptized, and he had waited for the other party for so many days, and he didn't even mean to come. And it also made Nafu City so turbulent that those believers didn't have time to come and pray. People like him who don't believe in the Lord will go to sooner or later. According to the believers, he also found a doctor to treat the disease at the cost of dozens of copper coins, which caused the main source of his church to be cut off. You must know that he treated others with holy light healing every time. You have to charge more than 30 silver coins. Since the hospital opened, I haven't had any business these days. Oh, no believers have come to receive the bath of the holy light. O great supreme Lord of light, my Lord, please forgive my slip of the tongue. Pastor Omar repented on the spot. The most hateful thing is that school, for not letting the children come out to pray. It's just restraining the freedom of the children, it's a heinous crime. If it continues like this, then the younger generation of Nafu City will not be destroyed by his hands. If they have been influenced by that school, their belief in the Lord is not that deep, or they simply don't believe in the Lord, then Nafu City will become a paradise for demons without faith. The more Omar thought about it, the more bad he felt. He couldn't let the city of Nafu be destroyed by Claire's hands. He was going to save this gradually degenerate city. Save those kids from school. At this moment, he is the incarnation of the hero of salvation. Omar became more and more excited in her heart, filled with a sense of mission. She put the copper coins in her arms into her arms, and strode towards the school with strides. A euro. Pastor Omar walked into the campus. Most of the students in it had prayed under the guidance of their parents, so they were familiar with Omar. So they quickly gathered under the leadership of Omar. Hundreds of students raised their heads and looked at Omar on the podium. As soon as Omar opened her mouth, she said righteously, "Children, I'm here to save you. Your bodies are bound in this school, and your souls are bound here. Think about how many days you haven't been to church to pray. If you are so ungodly, the Lord will be unhappy. But it doesn't matter, I know many of you are unwilling to come, so I came to save you." The little boy below rubbed his aching buttocks and raised his hand. "No, we are all willing to come here. The teachers inside are all talented, they speak nicely and don't kill me like my mother, and the knowledge they teach is also very interesting. I love it here." That sore was the one he hadn't been beaten by his mother last night. Pastor Omar glanced at the little boy dissatisfiedly. "Wisdom is given to us by the God of light, it's innate, what knowledge can you learn here?" The little boy opened his mouth. "Then do you know why you can't drink raw water? What raw water and what can't you drink? Then do you know what's in the water that will make people sick if you drink it? Water is water. It is composed of water elements. What can make people sick?" Applause. The pastor doesn't know as much as I do. Let me tell you, some unclean water will contain germs, and if you drink it, it will make people sick. The little boy is now learning and selling, and explained what Claire said a few days ago. I said it again, of course, I was young and ignorant, and most adults would not dare to contradict the priest like this. Pastor Omar's face suddenly became flushed, and his eyebrows also stood up. He said loudly, You are nonsense. Disease is a test given by the Lord. As long as you serve the Lord faithfully and come to the church to be baptized by the holy light, you will be safe and sound, and there will be no germs in the water that can make you sick. In desperation, the little boy said this sentence, "Then why can doctors treat diseases?" As soon as he said it, he was very happy for his clever brain, and he was able to find the loophole in the other party's language. Is this the benefit of thinking that the teacher often said? You. Pastor Omar pointed his finger at the boy anxiously. It is impossible for someone who questioned the Lord like you to enter the kingdom of God. In the final analysis, Nafu City is too remote, and the priest Omar here is too weak. If it were a cardinal in the capital, things like this would be completely self-evident. What germs are actually created by the Lord to test whether people are loyal to the Lord? www.mtlnovel.com. Only those who believe in the Lord enough can survive. The existence of a doctor is also a good deed of the Lord. He could not bear to see the Lord's servants endure so much suffering, and the number of priests is completely insufficient, so he gave the doctor the ability to treat diseases. Science needs to be falsifiable, but religion does not, which is why it can justify everything. What's your name? Pastor Omar walked off the stage angrily. Before he took a few steps, a figure stopped in front of him, and it was Reagan. He naturally takes things that the young master of the school attaches so much to his heart. He often comes to take a look when he is free. When he came here today, he found something was wrong. There were students rushing to the podium constantly. He thought it was Claire is at school again. After rushing over, I found out that it was Omar, the pastor of Nafu City, and the other party was still talking about some bastards. Reagan had also been in the royal circle of the capital, and he had seen more priests than Omar. He was already familiar with their rhetoric, and his young master had studied with magicians since he was a child. Yes, he naturally didn't have a good impression of the people in these churches. Pastor Omar, our students are going to class, please go out. Regan said with a smile, and now he seems to have a trace of Claire. Omar, who was stopped, also calmed down, realizing that he had just been impulsive, and now Reagan was blocking him, so he had to give up and turn around and walk out, waiting for the next time. It's just that as soon as he walked out of the school gate, Reagan sent someone to call 2 knights from the barracks to come here as security guards, so as not to let these religious lunatics get in. Chapter 48. Strange Eyes. Pastor Omar, who was kicked out because he couldn't talk about the boy, was very depressed, so he could only go back to the church and start looking for the Bible. After rummaging through books at noon, Omar finally found a way to get back to the boy's problem, so he excitedly ran back towards the school with the heavy Bible. But before entering the campus, he was stopped by 2 knights standing guard at the school gate. How dare you stop me? Do you know who I am? I'm the only priest in Nafu. Omar jumped angrily. But the 2 knights still had no intention of letting him in. Their allegiance was to Claire, not the Church of Light. They did not give Omar any face at all and stood in front of Omar like 2 walls, blocking him, at the school gate. Do you know that obstructing the pastor's mission will lead to hell? Omar cursed at the school gate for a while. But he is only a missionary priest, and he has only a few magical skills, a holy light therapy, and some auxiliary magical skills to comfort the soul, and he has never learned any offensive magical skills, but if he has a little promise would not be sent to such a remote place in the Viscounty. And the violent organization of the church is not composed of their missionary priests. There are special holy knights and priests who have mastered offensive magic to fight against those cultists who do not respect God. He was scolding at the school gate for several minutes. Seeing that the other party still had no intention of letting him in, he stomped his feet angrily and left the school. The answer he finally came up with was that now he couldn't even enter the school gate. After returning to the church, Omadin beat his chest, and the more he thought about it, the more angry he became. Omar slapped his thigh and shouted, "Come on. If I can't go to school, could it be that I can't even go to the hospital?" Thinking of this, Omar quickly left the church and strode towards the hospital. Pedestrians were constantly greeting him on the road, "Pastor Omar, Gyan." Omar also smiled and said hello to others, "May the Lord bless you." Along the way, he kept nodding his head, and the confidence in his heart became more and more strong. It seems that he has been in business in Nafu City for so long, and he still has fame and respect. The Viscount has only been here for less than a month. Fight for yourself. As soon as he walked near the hospital, Omar realized that something was wrong. There were too many people in the hospital, and the long queues were all lined up from the inside to the door. This is only for seeing the doctor, plus some people are watching how Rona is treated, and the number of people will be even more. Don't panic, Omar. The more people, the better, so that you can expose her sinful face to everyone. Omar cheered herself up. When the people around the hospital saw Omar, their attention was also attracted. Omar cleared his throat, cough. What are you doing around here? Pastor Omar, let's wait for Dr. Rona to treat us. The people in the queue answered honestly. Omar frowned and walked into the hospital, just to see Rona take out a puddle of herbal scent from the stone mortar and apply it to the other's injured wound. His face immediately became frightened, and he pointed at Rona and cursed loudly, "This is the devil's treatment method. This is not a doctor at all, but a witch in human skin. Oh no. Look at her sharp ears, I'm afraid it's not even human." Pastor Omar. Someone in the crowd hesitated for a moment and then said, "Lord Viscount said that those pointed ears are the characteristics of the half-elf family." Huh. Omar scratched his head, and it wasn't his fault. The Priest's Academy's books didn't have this knowledge. Then he waved his hand again. These are not important. Her treatment methods are exactly the same as those of the evil witches. Don't be deceived. If you have a disease, you can go to the church to be baptized by the holy light, instead of being bewitched by demons here. The people in the queue were still a little hesitant. If Omara Euro's holy light technique could be the same as the treatment cost here, they would still be happy to go to the church to receive the baptism of holy light, but Omara Euro's fee is 100 times that of Dr. Rona. One sound. Even though the Viscount has raised everyone's wages now, he can't afford to spend so much. What are you doing? Omar said angrily when he saw that everyone still didn't want to leave. If you accept the treatment of this evil witch, you will be abandoned by the Lord. You can't even enter the kingdom of God. Go straight to hell. As soon as these words came out, those people were finally shaken. As the only priest in Nafu City, Omar had the final right to expound the teachings, and these people had no knowledge, but were easily deceived by fooling around. Omar smiled with satisfaction. This trick has been tried and tested. Every time they say that the other party cannot enter the kingdom of God, these believers will be scared to death. Rona raised her head curiously and looked out the door. Seeing that everyone in the queue had stopped coming in, she tilted her head in confusion. She didn't know the common language, so she couldn't understand the series of words that Omar just said. But it's okay. She was happy when no one came in, so she continued to make medicines. She knew not only the medicine for trauma, but also the healing magic of their family, like what Yuna's mother got before. Sepsis can also be cured. Although Rona is no longer cured, Omar is still uncomfortable. She has said so much and the other party ignores her. How can this be tolerated? And she is still an evil witch who has defrauded so many believers of money, she must be punished. So he raised his leg and walked in, angrily reaching out his hand and grabbing it towards Rona. Rona frowned slightly when she saw the other party's actions, and a mysterious and beautiful elf language came out of her mouth. Then the ground under Omar's feet suddenly swelled up, and a vine quickly grew, and the vine's body was backward in the air. Twisted it a few times and charged up. Snapped. She threw the whip less than 10 centimeters in front of Omar's feet without hitting him directly, but this time, Omar was stunned, and she withdrew to the door of the hospital. You really are a devil. How dare you attack me, the only priest in Nafu City? Omar was furious. This was the first time he had been provoked like this in so many years. Reagan just invited him in a good voice. Just went out, and did not use any violent means. But even though he was roaring, Omar still didn't dare to step into the doorway. He only kept accusing Luona of being a demon outside the hospital door, www.mtlnovel.com, to make the people who were watching here also engage in the hearts of the people. Panicked. Is it really like what Pastor Omar said? Dr. Rona is really a devil. Impossible, she's kind-hearted and she charges us so little for medical expenses. I don't think she's a bad person, and she was brought back by the Viscount himself. But in the story, aren't demons all pretending to be beautiful and kind things to tempt people to fall? Lord Viscount might have been bewildered by her as well. I don't know what to do. A lot of people in the crowd hesitated, as if at this moment they had to make a choice, whether to choose to believe in Claire or choose to abandon their beliefs. But there are still many, devout, believers who look at Rona with fear and fear. Rona pursed her lips. She had been a slave for a while. Although she didn't know the common language, she was very sensitive to those strange eyes, and she couldn't help but feel a little scared in her heart. Originally, after these days of getting along with her, she developed a feeling of dependence on Nafu City. Just as Claire said, these people are very friendly people, and they only need to treat their illnesses, and sometimes they being able to receive small gifts and food from many patients, she wanted to stay here forever. But now those strange eyes made her a little shaken. Is she too naive? She is not of the same race as them all the time. What are you doing around here? Didn't you say you were going to line up? Claire's voice came from behind the crowd, and Rona's heart calmed down a little at this moment. Chapter 49. Let's play something exciting. The people gave way one after another. After Claire walked in, she glanced at Omar, who was standing proudly outside the door, and then at Rona, who looked a little melancholy in the hospital. She probably knew what was going on in her heart. HMPH, Lord Viscount came just in time. Omar didn't flinch when she saw Claire coming. This woman is a devil, I hope you can burn her to death. After hearing this, Claire's eyes turned cold. The doctor I finally invited, you want to burn to death with a single word. But it was obvious that Omar didn't have the ability to watch words, and still said loudly, if you stay with this kind of demon for a long time, Lord Viscount, you will not be able to enter the kingdom of God after death. This method of intimidation works every time. When those nobles were here before, every time they intimidated each other, those nobles could give a lot of gold coins to atone for their sins. However, he met Claire. Claire ignored him at all and walked directly into the hospital. Showing off the spiritual thread, Rona connected together, are you okay? Claire asked in her heart. He didn't want to have to bring back such a good doctor with such difficulty, but he would be off by this idiot. After feeling the gentle emotions conveyed by Claire, Rona calmed down and shook her head. I'm fine, I don't know what that person said. Now these people don't come in to see a doctor. After speaking, he looked up at Claire and hesitated. Did it affect you because of me? I told you before that I am a half-elf, and they may not accept me as their doctor. Claire smiled. People are easy to be incited, they are not bad, it's the person who is bad. It's alright, I can solve the matter soon, as long as you want, you will always be in Nafta City doctor. Yeah. Rona nodded. Lord Viscount. Omar's voice rose several times. Just now, Claire ignored him and went in to find the witch, giving him no face at all. Pastor Omar, right. Claire also turned around, with a bright smile on her face. Yes, I am the only priest in Nafu City, the messenger of God. Omar said proudly. Claire walked over to him, leaned over and said in a low voice, let's talk in another place. It's not convenient for people to talk about things here. I'll give you what you want. Omar glanced at the surrounding environment, and there were indeed many people around, so he nodded and said, okay, where to go? Let's go into the hospital and talk. Claire said. On the other hand, Omar looked at Rona a little scared, obviously reluctant to go in. Claire also saw his concerns and said, don't worry, I'm here, she doesn't dare to touch you. After speaking, the smile on her face became even brighter. Hearing that Claire's tone was so good, Omar couldn't help but feel proud. Well then. Seeing the other party agree, Claire immediately turned around and said to the people, there is some misunderstanding here. I'll have a chat with Pastor Omar to solve this misunderstanding. Then, under the eyes of everyone, he brought Omar into the hospital, walked through the hall and walked straight inside, then turned right and there was a room for storing herbs. Omar looked around and saw that he had entered deep enough, so he said, just this room, let's go in and talk. Okay, listen to you. Omar walked into the room, and as Claire closed the door, the light in the room quickly dimmed. Omar still said in an arrogant tone, Lord Viscount, what do you want to say? Ah. Ouch. The other party was only halfway through speaking, when Claire kicked his directly. Omar let out a scream, and then rolled on the ground several times. What about your mother? I've just been putting up with you outside for a long time. Claire said through gritted teeth. If there were not so many people surrounding him just now, he wouldn't have said so many polite words to each other in a good voice. The reason why I told the other party so much to deceive him here is mainly because the Church of Light is too strong. If you kill the other party on the spot, this matter can be big or small, and the small thing is nothing more than an aristocratic anger. Kill a priest and pay a fine. If you take it out to make a fuss, just put on a big hat of belief in a cult, and those holy knights can directly come out to destroy them, and their kingdom will probably not stop them. And every one of the knights in the holy knights is a big knight, and 3 or 4 will be able to flatten the current Nafu city. Those religious lunatics use this kind of war excuses a lot. The most famous one is that after the king of a kingdom openly satirized the god of light at a reception, they used this as an excuse to launch a holy war, which directly destroyed the country. So Claire's principle of getting along with these religions is, I don't care about you, don't bother me. But obviously, this Omar hit the muzzle without a long eye. After a few laps, Omar stood up reluctantly, and said with rage, do you know what you are doing? You are doing something to a messenger of God, and a villain like you will fall. Hell is divided by the devil. Omar's mouth was blocked by Claire's gun barrel. What nonsense, I'm a magician. When Omar heard this, he stopped shouting immediately, but felt that the kick that Claire had just kicked him was reasonable. Priests and other clergy think that magicians are lunatics, but they actually think that God can be observed and analyzed, so as to summarize certain laws for their own use. The magician thinks that priests and other clergy are insane, and God is just a powerful magician, and he is willing to sacrifice his life for this kind of thing. What do you want? Omar said stubbornly. What do you want to do? You come to my hospital to make trouble and ask me why. Claire laughed angrily. I'll give you a chance, go back to the church now, and give me less time to come out later. If the other party hadn't come to ask for trouble, Claire wouldn't have contacted these churches even if he was killed. Don't even think about it. Missionary is our freedom, and no one can deprive us of our right to preach. Omar puffed out his chest. Could it be that you still want to kill me? Don't be in a hurry to reject my proposal. Since you believe in the word of God, I'll play a game with you. Then Claire explained to the other party how to play the Russian turntable. The bullet nest was thrown away, and Claire put a bullet in it. Omar watched Claire's movements and couldn't help but swallow her saliva. 1 in 6 chance. Don't worry, Omar. God will protect you. Omar encouraged himself. Crack. Claire put another bullet in. At this moment, Omar had obvious beads of sweat on his forehead, but he was still carrying it. 1/3 chance, Omar insists, you serve God every day, and God will bless you. Crack. The third bullet was also inserted. Omar's teeth were already trembling, and his psychological defense line was constantly collapsing. It's only a half chance. A coin toss is also a half chance. It's just a small problem. Crack. No fourth bullet was put in. Omar finally couldn't bear it any longer, and roared in fear, what do you want? Do you know how sinful it is to kill a cleric? The Pope will send a knight to the city of Nafo. Even if you are a viscount, he will also be hanged at the gate of the city. What about killing a cleric? It was obviously my kindness to talk to you, but you attacked me and wanted to kill me, and I killed it. This is just self-defense. Claire's smile grew brighter. The Church of Light is not strong enough to allow the pastor to kill at will, which is why he brought Omar here. There are only the two of them in this room, and what happened is not based on his mouth. No one will believe you. It's okay, after I kill you, I will stab myself in the chest, and then put the dagger in your hand. The people outside will only see you holding a murder weapon in your hand. You know, only if you survive only people can speak. Then wait for the next priest to come over. Maybe someone will lay flowers on your tomb. I hope he is different from you and can be more obedient. Pastor Omar finally panicked. Reading www.yequanshu.com. If Claire killed him in public, so many people would see it and leave some clues. Now there is no one around, and no one can help him prove it. He is the victim. Why are you so stupid? Come with him to this place where no one else is. Crack. The fifth bullet was loaded. Omar simply broke the jar and smashed it. Looking like a heroic sacrifice, he closed his eyes and said loudly, even if there is only a 1/6 chance, I still believe that the Lord will protect me. The Lord is omnipotent. Crack. The sound of another bullet being loaded into the cylinder sounded. Omar opened his eyes in panic and looked at Claire with a deceived look on his face. Didn't you just agree to play the Russian turntable? Why are all 6 bullets loaded? Just now, there was still a 1/6 chance of surviving, but now I don't give myself any chance of surviving at all. Claire showed the loaded cartridge and explained, since you are the messenger of God, let's not bet on the boring ones. Let's play something exciting and bet that it gets stuck. Saying that, Claire threw the bullet box back and put the muzzle of the gun on Omar's forehead, who was trembling with fear. Omar shouted in his heart, I will definitely die. This **** never wanted to let me go, he just wanted me to die. Don't thank me, I'll still be happy to send you to the kingdom of God. Claire showed a nuclear smile and put her finger on the trigger. Wait. Omar suddenly called out. Obviously he had figured out something at the juncture of life and death. The Lord also said, wise people are often good at listening to other people's opinions. I think the proposal you just made, Viscount, is quite good. Chapter 50. I won't leave here. Very good. Claire nodded with satisfaction, and put the pistol back. Omar was relieved. You are a smart person, and I will not embarrass you. As long as you stay in the church honestly and don't come out to cause trouble for me, do what you like. When believers go to church, you should pray for others. What God? I can also make you a priest during the festival, and we can still get along well. Yes, yes. Omar can only nod in agreement now. Of course, don't even think about reporting me after you go out. Claire squinted. Building a hospital and a school is not something that can give me a hat, and the two of us know what's going on here. It is also the nobles who want to punish me for no reason, but that requires evidence. Sweat appeared on Omar's forehead again, and he really thought so just now. After beating the other party to prevent him from being an idiot and causing trouble for himself, the next step is to lure him. Pastor Omar, how much do you usually spend a month? Omar didn't understand why Claire asked such a question, but he still replied, besides most of the money I provided to the Royal Capital Church, I still have 3 or 4 gold coins left, but now those nobles have moved out of Nafu City, there will be less in the future. I'll give you 50 gold coins every month. You don't need to take the money for offerings, but keep the flowers for yourself. Claire said with a smile, since ancient times, wealth has moved people's hearts. If the other party is not the pastor of the church, Claire is still reluctant to spend these 50 gold coins. This money is sent to spend money to eliminate disasters, so as not to lose the pastor of Omar, and a more difficult pastor will come later. Then it's not worth the loss. Omar widened his eyes and said quickly, thank you, Lord Viscount. Do you know why I gave you the money? Claire asked. Omar patted his chest. I promise that I will stay in the church honestly and concentrate on serving the Lord. The reason why he came to the hospital and the school was not because these two affected the revenue of the church itself, and directly affected his income. As for belief, of course, it is also very important, but as Claire said, churches do not conflict with hospitals and schools. Seriously, you're not a very good priest. Claire looked back at Omar. Do you know what a real mission should look like? Omar shook his head subconsciously, and then quickly realized that he was a priest, and nodded sharply. Tell the world about the greatness of the Lord, and if you believe in it, you can go to the kingdom of God, and those who do not believe will go to hell. Claire shook his head with a chuckle. I saw many priests when I was in the capital, and they were not as radical as you. Even preaching is subtle. Speaking of which, Claire closed her mouth. He didn't want to teach this guy to preach or something. Omar bowed his head in shame. If he was as good as the priest in the capital, he wouldn't be sent to such a remote place in the Viscounty. Okay, let's go, it's time for us to go out and give the people an explanation. Under the two-pronged approach of coercion and inducement, Claire determined that Omar should not cause trouble for herself in the future. €. Walking out of the door, Claire held Omar's hand kindly and walked out with a kind expression. Everyone, be quiet, I have just had an in-depth discussion with Pastor Omar, and I finally cleared up the misunderstanding. After speaking, he pressed Omar's palm with his fingers, and looked over with a smile. Seeing the people who were looking at him, and then looking at Claire with a nuclear smile, Omar stood up. Indeed, the Viscount just explained the situation to me. This doctor is not an evil witch or demon. You can rest assured to come here for treatment in the future. After hearing the other party's words, Claire released her hand and put it on Omar's shoulder to pat. I'll say it's a misunderstanding. I misunderstood Lord Viscount. I should have believed him. Lord Viscount is so powerful, how could he be bewitched by demons? Yes, and Dr. Rona is so good, it can't be a devil. It seems that Priest Omar made a mistake. Things are finally resolved. However, Pastor Omar could be mistaken. Such a thing has never happened. Omar pursed his lips and looked at the people who were constantly discussing with complex eyes. It stands to reason that there is nothing wrong with the priest as the messenger of God. Even if it is wrong, it can only be done by a higher level. Clergy to discover and punish. This is somewhat similar to the ancient emperors. They cannot be wrong. If they are wrong, it will affect his authority, and the people below will gradually lose their reverence for the imperial power. Similarly, religion is also the same. God cannot be wrong, and as a messenger of God, there must be no mistake, otherwise the authority of religion will be threatened. Omar was still feeling melancholy, and Claire patted him on the shoulder. Pastor Omar, just go back first. I'll send someone to deliver things to you in a few days. Omar smiled on the spot. Then I'll retire first. After Omar left, Claire looked at Rona beside him and connected the spiritual thread. The problem is solved, so you can see a doctor with peace of mind. Yeah. Rona glanced at the people outside the door, and their eyes no longer had the doubts and fears they had before, only a face full of guilt, feeling guilty for misunderstanding Rona just now. Claire took another look at the yard in the hospital. When the building was built before, there was nothing here. After a few days, the small yard was actually overgrown with flowers and plants. Pointing to the flowers climbing on the stone wall, Claire asked, "Did you grow these?" "I saw the seeds of these flowers when I went to collect herbs. You read www.yequanshu.com and brought them back." Rona tilted her head. "Can't you plant it?" As a half-elf, she still has a special love for flowers and trees, and has special magic that can make seeds sprout and grow quickly, so within a few days, she turned the yard into a small garden. Claire smiled. "Of course not, I said the hospital belongs to you, you can plant whatever you want. And the flowers that come out are very beautiful." "Thank you." Rona whispered. She could feel that Claire's praise was sincere. "You have worked hard these days. You are the only doctor in the entire Nafu city. You are too busy. Just wait for a while. After a while, other doctors will come over. Then you don't have to be so busy. There are nearly 100,000 people in the entire Viscount territory, and a doctor, Rona, can't cure her at all, and she can't trouble her with such trivial things as a cold or a fever." What Claire thinks is to regard Rona as an ace doctor, and then some doctors from other territories will come over and let them open their own shops. If they really encounter a disease that cannot be cured, they will come over and let Rona treat them. Rona nodded. "It's not hard. I like this job very much, and I like this kind of life very much. I don't have to live in a homeless place like before, and you are also very kind to me." After speaking, Rona felt something was wrong and added, "I won't leave here." Claire was stunned for a moment, then smiled. "If you have time, learn common language." €. A few dozen miles away from Nafu City, a caravan drove a convoy of blue-scaled horses with a row of dozens of meters toward Nafu City. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel Chapter 51, Shane. Master, a caravan came from outside the city to sell goods in Nafu City. Regan reported. Huh. Claire became interested. Is there another caravan? Selling something? It should be from the developed cities to transport the goods to the poorer territories for sale. I have seen a lot of things that are only found in the royal capital. Claire's interest is even higher. He thought it was an ordinary caravan. For example, the shops opened by the previous nobles in Nafu City sold some necessities of life, such as brown sugar, grain, and daily necessities. Because they are all necessities of life, and the annual income of monopoly is also very high. For example, there is also a magic shop, but the target customers are nobles, and the goods in it are pitiful. It was still opened by Baron Eugene, but now it has been transferred to Claire, but it is a pity that the nobles were killed by Claire, and no one bought those magic potions. If it is like some big cities, there are all kinds of shops in it, not only magic shops, but also shops specializing in fighting chi combat skills and cultivation methods, not to mention services such as enchanting weapons. So now Nafu City still has a long way to go. Claire put down the magic book in her hand and said, "Go and have a look." €. Under Reagan's leadership, Claire quickly found the location of the caravan, and it was difficult for the 10-meter-long caravan to attract attention. And at this moment, those caravans were also surrounded by the residents of Nafu City. They kept taking out money from their arms and handing them to each other. Their expressions were all very excited. Obviously, the goods sold in the caravan made them very satisfied. It's just that Claire felt a little uncomfortable. She finally distributed the money to them in the form of cash for work. She originally wanted to slowly circulate the money in the territory to make the money flow. Now a caravan has come. The money was harvested. However, this is a bit depressing. Claire is still very welcome to these caravans. If there were no caravans to sell goods in Nafu City would not be able to develop. You are the Viscount, right? When Claire was in a daze, an 18 or 19-year-old boy who looked very delicate and elegantly dressed leaned over with a smile on his face. Claire cast a questioning look at the other party. Who are you? The young man laughed again. Oh. I forgot to introduce myself to you. I am the head of this caravan, and the third son of Earl Anser, Baron Shane. Claire's eyes flickered. The name of this Anser family is not only famous in this country, but also very famous in several nearby kingdoms. It is a famous business family that started out by doing business. What is the dream of the other party? The other party will answer in all likelihood, to become a businessman like Ansi. Their title is not inherited by the eldest son, but depends on who runs the most profitable caravan, and that is the next Earl of An's heir. So although Shane has the title of a baron, it is only an honorary baron. Unlike Claire, it has no fief. Seeing Claire's expression, Shane also knew that the other party must have heard of his family's name. This is my first time out for business. Do you want to see if there is anything in the caravan that you need? If not, you can tell me, and I will bring it when I come next time. Claire glanced at each other unexpectedly. As expected of a family that started out in business, at the age of 18 or 19, he was able to do business for the first time. He was able to be so good that even speaking made the listeners feel comfortable. Shah-En's eyes were also full of surprises. He didn't expect the Viscount in front of him to be younger than himself, but the temperament he exuded invisibly made people feel that this person was not simple, and he didn't look like an ordinary teenager at all. Said that the nobles in this city were all driven away within a month after his return, which is very tricky. Both looked at each other and smiled politely. Then Claire asked, "Your caravan, please introduce it." "Okay. Lord Viscount, please come with me." Shane led the way, and Claire followed. Walking to the side of the carriage, Shah-En asked his subordinates to pull down the large boxes on the carriage. When they were placed on the ground, there was a loud noise, and the contents inside were not light. After opening the box, Shane asked someone to carry the contents out and show it in front of Claire. It was a silver armor with strange luster and mysterious patterns on it. As a magician, Claire saw it at a glance. It was armor that had been enchanted. Sure enough, Shane's words verified his thoughts. "Viscount is very hot, please see, this is the armor that has been enchanted by the junior wizard, which reduces the weight of the armor by 50%, and also strengthens the hardness of the armor. The Bronze Knight would not be able to penetrate it at all if it wasn't for a full blow. Come and show it to Lord Viscount." Shane instructed his subordinates, not to blame him for his hard work. Although his caravan sells everything, every time he goes to a new city, there will be a large number of residents. Buy your own stuff, but in general, the goods bought by the lord with the land account for half of his source of interest. Hearing Shah-En's order, the people under their hands quickly took out iron swords and hammers, and smashed them all over the armor. They used the strength to suckle, and they were very confident in their own products. The iron sword fell on the armor, and it bounced off, leaving only a few scratches, and the hammer also left a few depressions, but it can be ignored. Claire's eyes lit up. He was very satisfied with the hardness of the armor. If the former knight captain wore this armor, his pistol might not be able to kill him. The other party stopped and showed the armor in front of Claire. Claire randomly reached out and wanted to lift it up to see how heavy it was. Shane looked flustered. "Lord Viscount. Even if the weight is reduced by 50%, it is still very heavy, be careful." But before the words were finished, Claire lifted the armor with one hand and weighed it a few times. It was not too heavy. If it is a knight who has been promoted to the Bronze Knight, the strength is completely sufficient, and this armor will not cause any obstacle to their movement. Shane looked at Claire in surprise. He doesn't seem to be a knight or a warrior, right? Why is he so strong? Claire returned the armor to the other party, and Shane also suppressed his surprise in his heart, and said with a smile, "Lord Viscount, are you satisfied with this armor?" "Very satisfied. Do you have any other accessories?" "Of course there is." Shah-En felt that the business was about to be completed, and showed a happy smile. "There are also enchanted swords and spears, and other things, the latest clothes and perfumes from the capital. The diving beads in Lanbo City can breathe in water with this. There are also magic scrolls from Riley City, and the brilliant yellow ore in Yada City, www.mtlnovel.com. Just add it to the forged weapons 1 point, the quality of the weapon has been greatly improved." And Shane kept introducing the goods in his caravan to Claire. There were many things in it. Claire was excited to hear it, and he might not be able to use it in future transactions, so Claire simply bought a few items that the other party said he was interested in. The thing, but also spent a full 20,000 gold coins, thanks to the fact that hundreds of thousands of gold coins were collected from those nobles, otherwise Claire would be heartbroken now. Shah-En grinned and opened his teeth, and asked, "The armor is 300 gold coins per set, the The sword and spear are 150 gold coins and 200 gold coins respectively. How many sets do you want, Lord Viscount? 100 sets of armor and great swords, 10 sets of spears are enough. Claire said softly, although there are only 60 knights now, they will still increase in the future. Shane's face almost burst into laughter. He originally thought that Claire would just buy 10 or so sets of armor for individual knights to wear, but he didn't expect to buy 100 sets, and it was accompanied by 100 sets. With a big sword with a handle and a long spear with 10 handles, this trip made more money than he had traveled to 3 or 4 cities before. The price is 47,000 gold coins in total. For a discount, you can give 45,000. Grass. It's really making money. Claire cursed inwardly, but she still waved people to follow Reagan to get the money. Before buying the Torin and Rona, it only took 100 gold coins, but now the direct cost has exceeded tens of thousands. However, there is still not too much care in my heart. The province has to save, and the flour has to be spent. As far as building schools, hospitals and underground water pipes are concerned, Claire has invested more than 50,000 gold coins. Part of the wages of the workers is part of the construction materials shipped from other places. Chapter 52. Big Neck Disease. After the transaction was over, the two chatted a few more times. How long are you going to stay in Naft City? Claire asked casually. I originally planned to stay for a day and leave, but I encountered some robbers on the road, and my guards were injured a little. In addition, I have been running on the road for a while, and I have a big neck problem. Shane raised his head and pointing to his thick neck, he continued, so stay here for a while. By the way, please ask where the church is here, I want to go and get cured. If it wasn't for Shane's use of fingers, Claire hadn't noticed that the other person's neck was a little thick. This was the obvious characteristic of big neck disease. Later, the neck would become thicker, but it wasn't serious now. Seeing the other person's neck suddenly light up, Claire thought of something. Big neck disease is caused by iodine deficiency. Generally, the salt in the previous life will be iodized, so people with this condition are rarely seen there, and it seems that the cause of big neck disease is still unknown here. If you get sick, you can only go to the church to receive the holy light treatment from the priest. Although Claire is very annoying to the Church of Light, she still has to admit that the other party still has a good set of healing techniques. Guaranteed to work. For some diseases, it is difficult for doctors who do not know the cause of the disease to find a cure. Just like a big neck disease like Sha-en, there is absolutely no way to do it. They can only invite some magicians with healing skills or go directly to the church to receive the baptism of the holy light. If you really can't afford it, you can only use the knife directly to cut off the swollen area, and the chance of death during the operation is extremely high. And what Claire just thought of was the plan to add iodine to the salt. There is no industrial pillar in Nafu City that can automatically obtain gold coins from the outside world, and this may be a good opportunity. The more Claire thought about it, the brighter her eyes became, the more she felt that this was feasible. If the salt industry is used as an industry in Nafu City, not only Nafu City can obtain gold coins from the outside world, but also can create employment opportunities in Nafu City, so that residents in the Viscounty can have a new source of income. In this way, it is possible to obtain power from the outside to promote the development of Nafu City, and a steady stream of caravans will come here to buy salt. Don't worry, I'll show you around Nafu City first. Claire smiled. Although Shane didn't know what Claire's idea was, he still nodded his head and said, "Excuse me, I just want to change your city." Claire took Shane around the city of Nafo, where many people went to drill there, and the residents who saw Claire also greeted Claire. Your Excellency the Viscount, Guyan. Hello, Viscount. A little boy waved his hand vigorously. Claire also smiled and signaled one by one, but Shane on the side was getting more and more surprised. Although some of the lords in the previous cities also actively greeted their lords, it was only a formality. The sincerity of these residents to come, every time they see Claire, they are excited and grateful. I wish I could show my face in front of Claire. Shane took a deep look at Claire, and only felt that he seemed to be different from the other party, and he didn't know how to say it. If he insisted, it seemed as if he was greater than himself. Claire took the other party for a walk around the sewer project that was still under construction, and even walked outside Rona's hospital on purpose, and finally stopped. How is it? How do you feel? Claire asked with a smile. Shaw-en took a breath, glanced at the surrounding environment again, and said with sincere admiration, seriously, the city of Nafu under your management, Lord Viscount, is a happy place where everyone can live. I have been to many places. There are cities that are many times richer than this, but none of their inhabitants have such a smile on their faces, and when they meet their lords, they are far from having the same respect as yours when they meet you. These are what Shane said from the bottom of his heart, and the sanitation in the city is very clean. You also plan to build a sewer pipe. I can only see this in some big cities. You are a great lord. When Claire listened to the other party's praise for her, a series of question marks appeared on her head. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. What are you talking about? I took you around and took you to the hospital on purpose. Have you seen all this? So he prompted, did you find anything while walking around this circle? Shaw-en frowned, and thought about where he missed the praise of the other party. He seemed to have praised him. What is the problem? Claire smiled. None of them have a disease, the same disease as you. Shaw-en's eyes narrowed slightly, and he recalled it carefully. It seemed that he had not found any patients with big neck problems along the way. In places where iodine is deficient, big neck disease often occurs due to iodine deficiency, so Shaw-en does not panic when he gets this disease again. He just needs to find a priest for treatment, have had this disease. But as Claire just said, he has never seen anyone with a big neck disease before. This is very abnormal. He has often seen several patients in the cities he entered when he was doing business. Not to mention that Claire took him to the crowded places so many times, and there were no patients with this disease among the people who came to the hospital to see a doctor. Seeing that the other party realized it, Claire said, we have something that can treat this disease, are you interested? Shaw-en couldn't contain his excitement at the moment. You must know that this kind of disease is very common. If you have this kind of goods, you will definitely be able to make a lot of money, and you will have more hope of inheriting the title of Earl. 1 cent. However, he still suppressed his excitement and asked, is this kind of thing expensive? This is the crux of the problem. Although doctors can't do anything about the big neck disease, the pastor of the church can be cured. Therefore, the client must target ordinary families who can go to the pastor for treatment after gritted their teeth, or simply poor families who can't afford the priest's treatment. If the price is too high, there is no market for this thing at all. It's not expensive, it can even be said to be very cheap, just a dozen copper coins. Claire smiled. The reason why the residents of Nafu City did not suffer from big neck disease, www.mtlnovel.com, is because the Viscounty is close to the sea, and those seaweed, and kelp contain a lot of iodine, and long-term intake will naturally prevent this disease. And living in inland areas lacking seafood, the disease often occurs. What Claire has to do is to extract the iodine contained in the algae, melt it with the salt, and make iodized salt for sale. The price is a few copper coins more expensive than the salt in the world. At this price, those who buy it can still accept it. That's great. Shane said excitedly, can you show it to me now? Don't worry, you can rest for a few days. I'll be bringing things over then. Claire said, he doesn't have iodized salt now, he has to fool the other party to stay for a few days before he has time to get it. No rush, no rush. A euro. Shaw-en also smiled. He is a businessman and naturally knows that the other party has time to prepare. There is a hospital there. You can let your injured guards come here for treatment. The price is very cheap and only a few dozen copper coins. Claire pointed to the hospital and said that he didn't dare to say anything to report my name for free, mainly because Rona can't understand common language, and even if she says his name, Rona will only tilt her head. What are you talking about? I don't understand, give me money. I'll go first, I wish you a happy time in Naford City. Claire finally said. Shane showed a happy smile and waved desperately at Claire, goodbye, Lord Viscount. After Claire left, Shane couldn't help but waved his arms, okay. This trip to Nafu City has made him earn tens of thousands of gold coins, and he has found such a good opportunity that he will definitely surpass the previous two and become the next Earl. Chapter 53. Reproduce 37 points. As soon as Claire returned to the house, she called Reagan over. Go find someone to buy some kelp and seaweed, and find a carpenter in the city to customize hundreds of wooden boxes for salt. It must be as refined and extravagant as possible. Forget it. Claire sighed, I'll design the wooden box. When the time comes, you can bring the drawings and let them make them according to the drawings. Claire didn't expect the carpenters in Nafu to make the exquisite wooden boxes, so she had to do it herself. 2 hours later, come and get the drawings. Those hundreds of boxes must be completed within 2 days, and the construction site can stop for a while. Understood. Reagan replied. He had never seen Claire so eager and focused on a matter. After getting Claire's order, Regan immediately drove his carriage towards the seaside village in the Viscounty. Although there were kelp and seaweed in Nafu City, they were far from meeting Claire's needs, so he could only go to the seaside village. Acquire kelp and seaweed. After returning, Claire gave Regan the blueprint he had designed, and the front end of the delicate wooden box was stamped with the letter, Nafu. Regan pointed to the letters on it and asked, "This is?" Claire smiled, "You don't understand the brand effect. This is an important matter related to the development of Nafu City, and there can be no mistakes." Good young master. I will definitely do it well. €. On this day, Claire and the pile of seaweed and kelp stayed in the laboratory in the basement, studying how to extract iodine from kelp. Fortunately, he knew the principle in advance, and this world has magic. A magical thing that finally extracted iodine at night. As for the salt, Claire directly purchased a large amount of salt in Nafu City, and then dissolved it, without having to travel all the way to transport any seawater. After 2 days of busy work, Claire finally got the iodized salt out. He didn't sleep at all in the 2 days. The first day was to study and extract iodine, and the second day, he got out a lot of iodized salt. One day it was better, but it was just a lot of effort, but the next day it was really exhausting. Claire's mana was exhausted several times before she kicked nearly a ton of iodized salt. After he came out, he told Regan to invite Shane, while he went to take a shower. €. Before Claire finished taking a shower, Shane came to the Viscount mansion with great interest and waited in the living room. It's been a long wait. Claire walked out. No. Shane still had a smile on his face, then rubbed his hands in anticipation and said, "Lord Viscount, I don't know the medicine you mentioned." Claire didn't rush to take out the things, but pointed to the other person's neck doubtfully. "Why haven't you been cured of your illness? Do you want me to call the pastor over to cure you?" Now it's Shane's turn to be surprised. How can the priest call over? Those pastors are so arrogant that they are dying. Generally, they can only be baptized in the church. Even if you are paralyzed in bed, your family must take you there. Otherwise, the pastor will not take the initiative to come to your home to baptize you. Unless you are His Royal Highness the King, or any special holiday the church needs to show off. Shah-en immediately waved his hand and refused. No, I didn't go for treatment on purpose, just to see how well the drug worked. I'm afraid that will disappoint you. Claire said, and then took out the delicate small wooden box from her arms. Shah-en's eyes lit up. It's not easy to see what's inside just from the packaging, but why did he say he would be disappointed? Claire slowly opened the wooden box. This is not a drug, nor does it have any therapeutic effect. The biggest effect is to prevent the disease of the big neck. Shane's eyes widened and he stuck his head over. When he saw what was inside, he thought that Claire was making fun of him. He pointed to the iodized salt inside and said, "Isn't this salt?" Yes and no. Claire pushed the salt over. This is not ordinary salt. After Shah-en picked it up, he looked at it carefully several times, put out his finger and put it in his mouth to taste it, making him stick out his tongue. This is just ordinary salt, but it's just what he said in his heart, he didn't say it. You doubt its effect? Claire asked directly. Shah-en smiled embarrassedly. It was true. It was like someone came over with a glass of water and told you that drinking it would cure cancer. No one would believe it. You should have walked around Nafu City a few times in the past 2 days, right? Do you have the same illness as you? Shah-en nodded. That's true. In order to verify whether there is a strange disease such as big neck disease in Nafu City, not only did he stroll around Nafu City several times, but also let the people under his command pay attention to the people who came to buy goods. Those ordinary people, indeed, there are no residents with big neck disease like he note. This also verifies what Claire said to him before, that he does have goods that can treat the big neck disease. It's just, this salt is too unreliable. He has been ingesting salt all the time, but he still got this strange disease. Do you know why you have this disease? Claire asked rhetorically. Shane shook his head. He was just a businessman and not a doctor. How could he know? I don't know. Thinking that you have a long-term lack of a thing called iodine in your body, and lack of this thing will cause your body to have various symptoms. This big neck disease is just one of them, and it may also lead to miscarriage in women, sluggishness, mental retardation, and other diseases, but this big neck disease is more conspicuous. Shaw-en disbelieved. How is it possible? Claire smiled lightly. Why is it impossible? If a person does not eat meat for a long time, his body will become weak, and if he does not eat fruits and vegetables for a long time, his gums will bleed. Aren't these all examples? Claire didn't share anything about the role of vitamin C and protein with the other party, and the other party might not be able to understand it. Finally, he reached out and pushed the wooden box containing iodized salt in the direction of Shaw-en. Isn't the fact proven? There are no patients with a disease like you in Nafu City. Isn't this enough to prove the effect of iodized salt? After listening to Claire's words, Shaw-en thought about it, picked up the wooden box again, lightly dipped the iodized salt on it with his fingers and put it in his mouth, tasting it carefully. After a while, the wooden box was put down. Lord Viscount, you persuaded me. Does the salt in Nafu City have this effect? €1 maybe I can set up a caravan to sell this special iodized salt. After determining the function, Shane began to discuss the transaction. No, the salt in my hand is iodized salt now, but the business is huge, and Nafu City will produce this kind of iodized salt in the future. Shaw-en nodded. You reading www.yequanshu.com didn't get to the bottom of it. Why don't the residents of Nafu City have big neck diseases? That's their business secret. As a professional businessman, he naturally knows that. Randomly inquired. How much iodized salt the Viscount has in his hand now? I accept all of them. There was almost a meal. This wooden box contained 2 kilograms of salt, which was almost filled with about 500 wooden boxes. How much do you sell for a wooden box? When talking about business, Shane's expression became focused. I don't need money, I'll give you all of this for free. Claire said with a smile, knowing that not including the cost of iodized salt, the wood used in the wooden box alone is the best wood in Nafu City. The cost is more than 5 silver coins. No money. Shaw-en exclaimed in shock. He was shocked enough when he came to Nafu City, but it was far less than what he was about to come. How could anyone sell things without money? Yes. These don't cost money. I want to reach a new cooperation model with you. I am responsible for the iodized salt, and you are responsible for the sales. You don't need to pay in advance when you get the goods, you only need the profit after selling the salt. Just give it to me, and we will share the profit between 30 and 70%. Even if you can't sell it, you can still deliver the goods back. Shaw-en was not stupid enough to ask who was the third and who was the seventh. This iodized salt is now in Claire's hands, and a distributor of his own still wants to take 70% of it. Shaw-en thought about it for a while, and felt that he would not lose money in this way of cooperation. Instead, he would have more funds to do other things, so why not do it? Deal. Shane stretched out his right hand, intending to shake hands with Claire to make a deal. But instead of reaching out, Claire held her chin and asked, how are you going to sell this iodized salt? Chapter 54. The price is very reasonable. Shaw-en showed the wooden box in his palm and said, if this iodized salt can only be used for prevention, it is indeed difficult to promote it, and most people will not believe the effect of the iodized salt above. So I plan to transport this batch of salt to a place with developed transportation and information, and then sell it at a price that is a few copper coins higher than other salts plus its promotional effect. After a certain period of time, when all those who bought our products are free of this disease, I will promote it, so that this iodized salt will spread in other cities, and then everyone will. There is a consensus that the iodized salt we sell does have the effect of preventing big neck disease. In the future, we will be able to open up nationwide channels for large-scale sales. After finishing speaking, Shane raised his head and looked at Claire, wanting to see the other party's reaction. He thought that although his plan was a bit crude, he thought there was no problem with the idea, and it was absolutely reliable to implement. But Claire's face didn't show the slightest wave, just politely listening to him talk about the plan. Then how long will it take you to wait until you feel that people all over the country have reached this consensus? Sha En was stunned for a moment, thinking about it in his heart. It will take about half a year, but the time cost is worth it. At that time, we will have access to the entire kingdom. The annual profit of this product alone is worth millions. This is already equal to the annual income of Claire's ancestor when he was the mine owner. I'm not saying your plan is bad, it's just that it took effect too slowly. Claire said softly. Combining the previous words, Shane also heard Claire's implication, and immediately asked, the Viscount, do you have any good methods? Although he used the tone of asking for advice, Sha En was still a little unconvinced. After all, he is also a business family. He has seen many business methods. The plan just now was the most appropriate plan he could come up with. He did not believe that Claire could come up with a better plan than him. Claire leaned forward and approached the opponent. First of all, the place with the most developed information and transportation in the country is the capital, and we can choose it as the first city. Shane nodded. What Claire said was quite satisfactory. In fact, the royal capital was also within his consideration, but it was not the best choice. However, there were too many products in it, and he was afraid that he would not be able to compete with other merchants. And the development of traffic information is also the most important, otherwise, even if the effect of iodized salt comes out, the fame will not spread to other places. Claire continued, it's not the same as you just now. I don't think our iodized salt targets ordinary people. Sha En immediately retorted, although this can prevent big neck disease, it is just salt after all. If the price is too high, it will be difficult to sell, let alone let others discover his role. No. Claire shook her index finger and tapped the wooden box on the table with her hand. How is the design of this wooden box? Sha En didn't understand what it had to do with it, but he still replied, it's gorgeous, it can even be used to store some jewelry. The cost of this wooden box is about 5 silver coins, so the users targeted at the beginning are not ordinary people. First of all, you first go to the capital to open a shop. The shop must be as gorgeous and luxurious as it is, and it will be as extravagant as it is luxurious, and it will be equipped with any high-end accessories, so that ordinary people will not dare to come in when they see it. There is only one commodity for sale, and that is our commodity, iodized salt. Shane is still puzzled. Even so, it can only attract a small number of curious customers, and it is difficult to expand sales. Don't worry, listen to me. Claire reached out and stopped the other party. Don't worry about sales in the first few days. You are mainly responsible for finding those famous doctors in the capital and giving them some iodized salt. What? Buy them. Claire said bluntly, let them publish an article in the newspaper saying that iodized salt can prevent big neck disease. It's difficult, they generally don't gamble with their reputation. Shane followed Claire's train of thought. Do you know how much a doctor in the capital earns a year? 100 gold coins. Or 200. I have stayed in the capital. The average doctor's annual salary is around 100 gold coins. The more famous ones can reach 300 or 400, but there are very few who exceed 500. The existence of priests is fundamentally limited. The annual salary of a doctor, even in Wangdu, is not a profession that can make a lot of money. You spend 100 gold coins to let him post an article and he won't publish it, because he can earn it in a year, so he won't bet on his own reputation. You spend 500 gold coins to let him publish it, but he will be 5. He may hesitate to earn money in years, because just posting an article will not have any devastating impact on his reputation, but if you directly give out 1,000 gold coins, I guarantee that most of them are sure spread out the paper on the spot and ask what you need him to write. Hearing this, Sha En laughed. He really forgot how attractive money is. You first find an ordinary doctor and ask him to report in a newspaper that iodized salt can cure big neck problems. This is just the beginning. Then you add some more famous doctors and ask them to publish an article to prove the previous doctor. The report is true, and finally find the most famous doctor in the capital. Shane's breathing became quicker. Claire said that he could already foresee the success of this plan, and he was convinced of the defeat. This plan was indeed much faster than his previous plan. But his heart was still extremely excited. He had never seen such a method before, so he rushed to answer. Find the most famous doctor to prove that our iodized salt really has this effect, right? No. Claire spat softly. Sha En was shocked. Logically, it should be like this. However, he still respectfully said, please enlighten me. Find the most famous doctor to send a report, and ask him to say that the first doctor who published the article plagiarized his article. Sha En's eyes lit up. He was very smart and quickly figured out the logic inside. He slapped the table and said excitedly, I see. Then let the two argue. Right, hype this matter to the point where the entire capital knows it, and as long as they are still arguing in the newspapers, then the popularity of this matter will be reduced. It can last forever. And the effect of our iodized salt is also known to all the people in the capital without knowing it. €. The more Sha En said, the more excited he became. He stood up at the end and couldn't help admiring. I'll be honest, Viscount, you are the second person I admire from the bottom of my heart. You can even think of such a method. Come out, and this plan is nothing compared to the previous plan. The first person he admired was his father. Claire smiled slightly and continued, it's not enough. Sha En sat down with a look of listening intently. Then you give the knowledge I told you to the most famous doctor and let him write a new report and send it out to continue arguing with that person. What knowledge? Iodine. Lack of iodine will lead to stupidity, short stature, deafness, paralysis, as well as miscarriage and intellectual and physical damage. Speaking of this, Claire smiled slightly, then you hire someone to exaggerate the news and spread it recklessly in the capital, especially the damage to the intelligence and physique at the back. If you don't have a conscience, you can say it directly. Not eating iodized salt can lead to mental retardation. Hey! Sha En sucked in a breath. He was already able to foresee the turmoil that the news would bring. Before, he was worried about whether the ton of salt would be sold out, but now his only concern is to support it. How many days? Claire has no guilt at all. Didn't the capitalists in the United States use this method before? It is clear that sugar is the main culprit of cardiovascular and cerebrovascular diseases, but the sugar industry is the biggest profit of those capitalists, so they spend money to pay for it. Those scientists are targeting fat, www.mtlnovel.com, and hiding the truth. At least what I am promoting is serious knowledge. Iodine deficiency can indeed lead to these diseases, and iodine is indeed an indispensable trace element for the human body. So where does the sense of guilt come from? Those nobles who ate their own salt and did not build a statue for themselves are sorry for themselves. Then how much does this box of iodized salt cost? At least 3 gold coins, right? Sha En asked tentatively, which was 1,000 times more than ordinary salt. Even the wooden box with those iodized salts cost more than 5 silver coins. Those 15 gold coins. This has been turned 10,000 times, and Shane felt his heart tremble. My family's sugar is bought for 3 gold coins per kilogram. Shane gritted his teeth. 50 gold coins. A treasure that can improve your IQ. 75 gold coins. There are only 500 boxes of iodized salt in the entire capital. 100 gold coins. Then Claire showed a satisfied smile. I think the price is good, what do you think? Sha En Kai felt pretty good. His heart was about to burst out now, but he also laughed. The price is very reasonable. These 500 boxes can be bought more expensively. When the output is high in the future, it will gradually decrease. Claire said, the iodized salt of these 100 gold coins was only sold for the first time. If it's that high, you'll have to use some more tricks. Moreover, Claire intends to sell iodized salt this time to create an industrial pillar for Nafu City, and it is necessary to produce more. Otherwise, it is not impossible to always take the high-quality route, but the money earned is only his own. The following ones the people are still miserable. Chapter 55. Robbers attack. It's a smooth journey. Claire said goodbye to Shane at the city gate. Lord Viscount, just wait quietly for the good news in Naford City. With your method, it's hard not to make money. Even after a day, when he remembered the plan that Claire told him yesterday, there was another excitement in Shane's heart. And his neck also returned to its original state. After confirming with Claire that these iodized salts can only prevent the disease but not cure, Shane went to the church to find the priest Omar for treatment. The two were chatting aside, while their subordinates were carrying the iodized salt that was going to be sold to the capital. With the instructions of their young master, those subordinates carefully stacked the wooden boxes on an exclusive car, on the carriage. The goods were all loaded, and the conversation was almost over. Shane also said goodbye to Claire. Lord Viscount, it's time for me to go, we'll see you later. Don't go in a hurry. Claire called to stop the other party, and with a wave of his hand, 60 knights and knights dressed in shiny armor walked out of Nafu City. You were harassed by robbers when you came here. Let my knights you out this time. Claire smiled. Shane glanced at the 60 knights behind Claire. He didn't see such a scene very often. Although he sold the armor, it was worn on these people, especially so many knights, so handsome. Thank you, Lord Viscount. Shane didn't refuse. The iodized salt on it can be said to be of great significance. After he leaves the Viscounty, he will find more mercenaries in other cities to guard him. Don't be so polite, we are partners. Next time you come here, there should be no robbers to interfere. Claire said with a smile. He planned to eliminate the robbers in the entire Viscounty in these days, otherwise it would be detrimental to the development of the Viscounty. Even if the road was repaired, some small caravans would not dare to enter. Okay, don't delay your trip, we'll see you later. See you. A euro. It didn't take too long to get from Nafu City to the next territory. It only took 2 or 3 hours for Shane's caravan to travel nearly half the distance. On the way, Shane couldn't help but asked Hunter, ask you one thing. Please say it. Hunter's tone was also very respectful. He could see that his lord attached great importance to this foreign businessman. Shane thought for a while and said, what kind of person do you think your viscounts are? After Shane finished speaking, he clearly felt that the knight captain of the Silver Knight was stunned for a moment. A memory flashed in Hunter's head. The Lord had not returned for a month, but he gave himself the feeling that he had been more fulfilled these days than in the past few years. The first time I met the Lord was when he returned to the Viscounty for the first time. He killed the then Knight Captain Dean for the first time, which shocked him a lot. It seems that from that moment at the beginning, the fate of Nafu City began to change dramatically. It's just that at that time, I was only a small character, and my understanding was not very deep. It was not until that sentence that I completely woke up. Do you know why you're the captain? Because that's what I accepted, so you became the captain. It was with these words that Hunter decided to swear allegiance to Claire. Then, after cleaning up the worms in Nafu City and killing those nobles, Nafu City really changed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Too many things have happened these days. Hunter recalled that he realized that it had not been a month since Lord returned. What's wrong with you? Shane pushed Hunter, who was in deep thought, with his hand. Hunter shook his head and replied, it's all right, as for the question you just asked, I don't know how to answer it. Lord gives me a very special feeling, and I don't know how to describe it. It feels like he is not from this world, like a sent from heaven. If I had believed in the Church of Light before, my current belief has become Lord. He is omnipotent. Shane didn't expect that Hunter's evaluation of Claire was so high. Although he had a high evaluation of Claire in his heart, he didn't expect Hunter's evaluation to rise to the level of belief. Hunter also saw Shane's surprise, and pointed to the teenagers around him who were in charge of early warning. If you don't believe me, you can ask them. Their respect for Lord may be more crazy than me. No, I believe it. Shane waved his hand, and his evaluation of Claire rose a lot in his heart. A euro. On a hillside a few hundred meters away from their caravan, a group of robbers on horses were looking at the slow-moving caravan from a distance. Boss, they have a group of night guards, said a one-eyed man hooded with sackcloth. The robber leader, whom he called the eldest, had a long beard, which was in line with the common understanding of robbers. The younger brothers below were also arguing. These knights must have come from that city of Nafu. Looking at the past, there are more than 50 people. Why don't we retreat? This is a tough stubble. We can wait until the next batch of caravans. I suggest going to steal the house. There must be no one guarding Nafu City right now. The bearded man frowned and scolded. Okay. You're still stealing the house. Once the city gate is closed, you stand under the city gate and get shot by arrows. These caravans can't be let go. It's the first time I've seen a caravan with such a long caravan, and the last time we played against them, we've seen the goods inside, and they're all good things. The caravan is worth at least 50,000 gold coins, we can't let it go. Thankfully, Shah-En didn't hear that. He actually compared himself with those small businessmen. If he put out these goods, he could scare the other party to death. The total value of the goods in his car exceeded more than 500,000 gold coins. Boss, what about those knights in Nafu City? The one-eyed man asked. What are you afraid of? Isn't this time when we went back and called all our brothers to attack them? The bearded patted his chest. Last time we were beaten back because we were understaffed, this time we have more than 200 brothers. They are all here, and there are 21 bronze knights, why are you afraid of him? Do you still know the strength of those knights in Nafu City? At most 3 or 2 bronze knights are not bad. The bearded man thought it was the knight of Nafu City a month ago. I'll deal with their knight captain, and leave the rest to you. The bearded man patted his chest confidently. He was also a silver level knight. I got the money, www.mtlnovel.com, each of you can get 10 gold coins, and go back to the camp to eat meat and drink. Okay. Long live the boss. Long live the boss. Charge me. The bearded horse pulled out his sword and rushed out first. And the Shanes who were a few hundred meters away also discovered the traces of this group of robbers, and they had no intention of hiding at all. Alert! Bandits are attacking from the west. Hunter shouted out with his sword drawn. The knights of Nafu City also quickly and neatly formed an attacking formation, and the guards under Shane's hands should not be underestimated. The archer climbed to the top of the carriage, drew the bow and began to aim. Some warriors also burst out with red grudges, eyeing the robbers who came. Sha En's heart tightened, and with a flip of his hand, he took out more than 10 scrolls of magic scrolls from the space ring. This is also one of the credentials that he dared to sell goods between various territories. There are magic scrolls from the 1st level to the 4th level. If you still can't solve the problem, you can only ask for the 5th level scroll that you have treasured. However, this situation can be solved perfectly with a 3rd level scroll. Shane put the scroll in his hand back, leaving only an ice blue scroll. The value of this 3rd level scroll is more than 3,000. It's worth a gold coin, but compared to the opportunities that Claire brought to her iodized salt, it's totally worth it. Shane just wanted to tear open the scroll and release the magic inside, but was stopped by Hunter. Your Excellency, this is a trouble in our territory. Please leave it to us to deal with it, otherwise the Lord will blame us. Hunter's tone was full of tenacity, and Shane also let go of his strength. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel Chapter 56, Can't Shoot In. Knights of the Viscount Griffin. Take up the weapons in your hands and hack to death all these robbers who have violated our land. Hunter shouted with the great sword held high. And those knights also quickly formed an attacking formation, with heavy breathing from the tip of their noses, and looked at the disorganized robbers who came from a distance, their eyes full of excitement. On the other hand, the robbers on the other side felt a little bit of trouble in their hearts after seeing the cavaliers who were so orderly and not scared away by themselves and others, but they didn't realize what the problem was. Big Beard also waved the big sword in his hand, rush for me, and break up their camp. Kill these soft-footed shrimps in Nafu City. As soon as these words came out, the robbers forgot about the blemish, and squeezed the horses under their crotch, galloping away at a faster speed. Ho ho ho. I want to kill 10. Let's show you what real killing is. Don't cry and go back to your mother. With a flick of his wrist, Hunter's great sword stood across his chest, and he rushed out first, targeting the robber chief Bearded. Clang! The metal sound produced by the collision of the 2 great swords sounded, and the bearded man was knocked back by Hunter, and when he looked at the great sword in his hand, there was already a gap in the place where they met. It was still shining brightly, gleaming with silver light in the sun. How could that be? The bearded tone was a little disbelieving, and then he set his eyes on Hunter. You can actually resist my blow. You must be a silver level knight, the captain of these knights. Stop talking nonsense. Hunter snorted coldly, and charged up again on the horse. Both are silver level knights, and they fought several times in a few breaths, and each time they lost their beards. If they didn't have some leather armor to protect the key parts, they would have been caused by Hunter long ago, of injury. Damn it! The bearded man scolded angrily. At this time, the great sword in his hand was so scarred that it could almost be used as a saw. The opponent fought for a few more rounds, and suddenly the bearded eyes lit up and found a loophole in Hunter's attack. Immediately condensed the vindictive energy in his body and rushed towards the great sword, covering the entire body of the great sword in an instant, and then suddenly waved his arm, and the great sword attacked Hante's flaw. Go to hell. A hideous smile appeared on the bearded face. Clang! What is that? Out of the corner of the beard, he saw a rectangular object flashing from his side. When he looked at Hunter again, the place he attacked had indeed achieved the victory. The blow just now split Hunter's armor. Made a big hole. Just. Where did the first half of your great sword go? When the bearded man turned around suddenly, he saw the tip of the sword that was spinning continuously in midair. Then, after turning around for an unknown number of times, the tip of the sword was firmly inserted into the ground. The one that flashed past you just now was your own sword. The bearded face finally became flustered. Where did he get such a hard armor? His sword was cut off. But his condition is not bad, the little brother he brought over is really miserable. Not to mention defending against the arrows of the archers in Shane's escort, but also fighting against these knights in armor. In the first round, they found out that the armor couldn't be cut at all. Those knights didn't need to defend at all, just let them chop at will, and then chop melons and vegetables with a big sword and chop them on their heads. Basically, one at a time. If you haven't died, you will try again. No matter how many people are, they will not be able to withstand such a slash. It's like rushing into the crowd with a tank. You can't do anything about it, but it can take you away in one fell swoop. The 20-odd bronze knight robbers who followed were also not easy to deal with. As soon as they rushed up, they encountered a knight of the same level, and the other party was still wearing armor. I was exhausted after a few rounds. Then, being a little smarter, he directly abandoned the knight he was fighting with, and turned around to fight other knights. The boss has said that there are only 2 or 3 bronze-level knights in Nafu City. If you are unlucky, you should change to a head office. Why? This is also bronze level, and then another one. How is this also? My luck is so bad that I have encountered it. You. This is already the 7th I've changed, how come they are all knights of the same level as me? In the end, I suddenly understood, damn, the 50 or so knights in front of me are all bronze level knights. Boss. I can't fight. These 50 or so knights are all at the bronze level. The one-eyed man shouted at the bearded man. Beard was also stunned, and he looked over quickly. 60 or 70 of his more than 200 subordinates have now been killed, and none of the knights in armor were injured. Then he looked at the great sword that had turned into half in his hand. Now he can only barely resist Hunter's attack. If time goes on, he will definitely be defeated. Originally, I wanted to rely on my little brothers to deal with those knights and help me later, but I didn't expect them to be worse than me now. So far, we can only retreat first. A sword swept away Hunter's attack, the horses he controlled retreated a few meters away, and he waved his hand. Stop fighting, we are not their opponents, hurry up and run. Bearded is also a sincere person, and he doesn't bother to say anything in a scene. A lot of robbers smashed their weapons on the knights on the spot to interfere with each other so that they could escape. After the robber escaped from the knight's fight, he quickly withdrew a distance of more than 10 meters, and began to adjust his posture and ride his horse to escape. Shane also stood up at this time, and the magic scroll in his hand was about to be torn apart. Now that he was with Claire, he would be happy to take care of a group of robbers for him. But he was stopped by Hunter again. You don't have to waste this treasure, we'll come as we go. Then he commanded the knights and formed a chasing formation to chase in the direction where the bearded robbers ran away. The closer they got closer, the war horses under their crotch were the war horses that Claire bought specially, while the others' horses were just ordinary horses, and the speed of the two was not on the same level at all. The one-eyed man glanced back, his courage was almost not broken. The cavaliers led by Hunter were already less than 30 meters away from them. This is not his fault. The battle just now was completely crushed by the opponent, really frightened him. The boss is bad. They are catching up. The one-eyed man reported. Are they crazy? Why are they chasing us? The bearded man said, Kanshu www.uakanshu.com. Generally speaking, when they robbed themselves but couldn't retreat, those people let themselves go because they were all caravans. The **** is mainly responsible for escorting the goods. If you pursue it, you may cause yourself to be injured. How can you encounter Hunter and the others so hotly pursued? Boss, they are getting closer. The one-eyed man seemed to see those knights in armor slashing at him with big swords again. Where's the archer? Where's the archer? Shoot arrows. The bearded man shouted, I'll smash all the weapons, it's important to survive. The archers in the bandit team drew their bows and shot them fiercely. The rest also took out the accompanying daggers and small swords and threw them at them. But the only thing that came back was the continuous, dang dang dang, sound, all of which were blocked by the armor. Boss, you can't shoot in. Idiot. Shoot their horses. They wear such thick armor and the horses will not be able to catch up with us. Another wave of feather arrows attacked, and the war horses in front fell one after another. The one-eyed man said excitedly, the boss is effective. He shot down several war horses. Boss, they all stopped. The one-eyed man's tone had a kind of excitement for the rest of his life. The bearded man finally took a breath. This battle was the hardest battle he had ever fought. Boss, they abandoned the horse. Not good. They run faster without horses. What nonsense are you talking about? The bearded man turned his head angrily, only to see 60 knights running towards him with strange steps, but the distance was getting smaller and smaller. Until he saw Hunter leaping high and slashing the great sword. Chapter 57. Sinful Beard. After sending Shane safely out of the Viscounty, Hunter took the captive bearded and others back to Nafu City. Claire was a little surprised to learn that Hunter had captured the man alive, so why would he still have a copy to play? Everyone was caught, so another notice was posted at the city gate, explaining the situation to the people in the Viscount territory, and inviting them to watch the execution scene at noon the next day. As soon as the notice was posted, the people in the Viscount territory were boiling again. Many villages outside the city of Nafu have been looted by these robbers, not only robbing money but also robbing women. Before Claire came, the Knight Captain Dean, who was in charge of the security of the Viscounty, didn't care about this kind of thing at all. Anyway, he didn't come to attack the city of Nafert, so the robbers became more and more rampant, and even the goods transported by the nobles had to hire people to guard them. This is a happy news, and it quickly spread throughout the entire Viscounty. Everyone is looking forward to the shooting scene at noon tomorrow. They hate these robbers so much that they have no sympathy at all. If possible, some of them are even willing to take a big knife to be the executioner. The next day noon soon came, and Claire also sent someone to the captured robbers to the wooden platform built as scheduled. This kind of thing is not suitable for the school square. After landing on the platform, Claire glanced at the people below. There were very few children who came over. On the one hand, most of them lived in the school. Even if it was school time now, their parents did not want to let their children see such blood screen. And among those who came, all shouted and hanged him, don't let them go easily. Claire nodded and asked the knights to the people up and kicked them in the legs. More than a dozen captured robbers knelt down in front of the people, with a different kind of ferocity in their eyes. He looked convinced, and didn't shout because his mouth was blocked by a rag. My people! Claire shouted. I said before that the days without robbers are good days. What I said has come true. Long live the Viscount. That's right. A day without robbers is a good day. Long live the Viscount. May your prestige endure forever. The people below praised again, and Claire pressed her hand to signal them to stop. These robbers were captured yesterday by our Knight Captain Hunter of Nafu City, led by a team of knights. Captain Hunter is mighty. Mighty. I will also let my son become a knight in the future. Did you see that the armored knight standing behind the Viscount is my son? A man patted his chest and said proudly. Captain Hunt is 10,000 times better than the previous one. Everyone praised Hunter and the knights loudly, and the corners of Hunter's mouth couldn't help but raise a smile, and the knights also felt a sense of pride and honor in their hearts. These compliments make them feel that what they have done has been affirmed and that what they have done is right. Well worth it. They have committed heinous crimes in the Viscounty. As far as I know, Baron Eugene and their goods were robbed by them before. The assassin who came to assassinate me was also sent by them. They also killed them on the way home after leaving office. Claire put his hat on the bearded heads without hesitation. The bearded man also looked at Claire in shock at this time. What are you talking about? I have never heard of any of the things you said. So he opened his mouth and wanted to make a quibble. He admitted that he did those things that robbed the village, but he had never done these things at all. How could he frame himself as a bad guy out of thin air? But unfortunately, his mouth was blocked with a rag, so he could only make a woohoo sound. After Claire finished the crime accusation, the bearded man still struggled to break free from the shackles of the hemp ropes, fell to the ground and kept squirming towards Claire, trying to make himself innocent before he died, but he was caught before he could move half a meter. The knights in the back were held down with one foot. The follow-up thing is very simple. Claire stood behind them and executed them one by one. He didn't care about the bullets at all. After he was promoted to the advanced mage, the effect of these bullets was very small, almost nothing. The spell penetrates his spell shield. Put their heads on hemp ropes, and hang them on the only way to enter the viscounty. I want all the robbers to know that this is the end of the mischief in the viscounty. Of course, there is also a role, which is to allow those merchants to come to the Viscount for trade with peace of mind. Otherwise, considering the cost of hiring mercenaries, many small-scale caravans are reluctant to spend money to come in. The development of the collar is very unfavorable. After the shooting, Claire ordered Hunt to lead the knights to tour the entire Viscounty, not to miss any group of robbers here. However, after Hunter left, Claire was a little worried. He had heard about the battle, and in the end, Hunter and the others dismounted and caught up with each other. Those steeds are not as fast now as Hunter. There will be a chance to introduce a group of mounts with the bloodline of monsters in the future. Claire said lightly, the blue-scaled horses in the previous Shane caravan were a kind of monsters with bloodline, not only fast, but also very capable of bearing weight. If it weren't for the other party, it was the dozen or so blue-scaled horses that Claire really wanted to buy as a transitional mount. It's best to have a dragon beast, and it would be even better to get a few two-headed dragon knights. Just thinking about it, a smile appeared on Claire's face unconsciously. Dragon beasts are magical beasts with the blood of giant dragons. This kind of mount can only be used by some powerful counties in the kingdom or the ace knights under the dukedom, and it is very troublesome to tame, basically 10 dragons. Only a qualified dragon beast that can become a mount can appear in the beast. However, although the cost is high, if it is cultivated, the effect is not generally strong. A direct sprint can smash the enemy into flesh, and it is said that some dragon beasts have some dragon magic, plus their own bloodline pressure. The rest of the mounts that are not dragon beasts turn their heads and run when they encounter them. They don't even have the courage to touch them, and they get the first opportunity before the battle starts. A euro. After returning to the Viscount mansion, Claire immediately summoned the person in charge of the construction site, and the Tauren hammer has now become a person in charge. Although the Tauren under his hands can't do the hard work, they are really powerful. Many times it can play a key role. And in these days of getting along, they have gradually changed their way of life. In addition, these simple people in Nafu City did not regard them as monsters, but as their own people. Now the Tauren people are a little different from humans in appearance. They can sit down with the humans on the construction site to drink and brag, just like a glorious working class appearance. Lord Viscount Hammer greeted Claire excitedly. These days are the happiest days it has lived. Although it is a bit tiring, it is enough to eat, and the food is especially good. Claire nodded at the other party as a greeting, and began to spread out the blueprints to explain to them the salt factory she was going to build. Stop what you're doing now, and go get the building on this blueprint. Claire pointed to the blueprint above. It's not difficult, but it's just a bit time-consuming and laborious. Lord Viscount, where will such a large building be built? Said a person in charge and an architect. North District. Although the best factory location should be on the seaside, because it is the closest to the raw materials, but Claire still put the address in the city of Nafu. He plans to turn the north area of a euro the city into an industry in the future. District, www.mtlnovel.com, and that place is now in an abandoned state. There are many places available. When there were magic mines in the Viscounty before, Nafu City was also prosperous, but after the magic mines were dug out, many of the foreign population in Nafu City moved to other cities, leaving behind a lot of abandoned housing estates. Now the most popular places are the central area where the Viscount mansion is located in the residential areas in the south. After reading the drawings carefully, the architect said, "No problem. How many days will it take?" After thinking about it, the architect replied, "It's that big, at least a week. Whether it can be faster, this is very important to the development of Nafu City." Hearing this, the people in charge became excited again, and the Viscount was planning to come up with something. Although he didn't know if it was killing, it must be a good thing. There is no need to prove this. The architect also gritted his teeth. If you work overtime, you can complete it within 5 days. Don't. Lord Viscount said that this is very important. We can stay up at night, we can work in shifts. Yes, yes, we are all very happy. It's been at least 4 days. If there is less, the quality cannot be guaranteed. The architect has already made plans to sleep less or even no sleep these days. Okay, you go and ask Reagan for a magic lamp. It can be brighter at night, pay attention to safety. Claire said softly, he is not trying to squeeze them. In the past 4 days, his workload is only more than these people, no less than these people. He hasn't slept for 2 days now. Ever since he sent Shane away, he's been working on a salt-making machine in the basement. Now he has a little clue. If he doesn't sleep for 4 days, he should be able to figure it out. Chapter 58. Target customers. As for why the machine is made, it is entirely to enable more efficient mass production and improve the quality of iodized salt. It is impossible for workers to do every step, and they may not be able to do it well. The salt-making machine that Claire researched is also semi-automated, and many steps still require workers. Ida Euro S not that he doesn't Euro T want to automate it, but Ida Euro S because he alone and the technology from another world can't Euro T do it. The technology here the tree is completely on the magic, and the industrialization does not involve much, which is almost equivalent to Claire starting from scratch. Moreover, hiring workers can also increase jobs and directly increase the income level of Nafu City. Since Claire returned to the present, the basic salary in Nafu City has increased by nearly 50%. It is expected that the salt factory will be directly doubled after the construction. The employment opportunities brought by a pillar of the industry are not only workers working in factories. For example, carpenters are needed to produce wooden boxes for iodized salt, and the wood needed by carpenters requires people to cut down trees. One part, including the raw materials needed to produce iodized salt, seawater, seaweed, kelp, etc., all need to be collected by someone. As long as the salt factory has this demand, there will be corresponding upstream job opportunities, which will directly or indirectly bring hundreds of jobs. With this development, the economy of Nafu City can develop rapidly. This also shows how important an industrial pillar is to the development of a city. If it weren't for the benefits, Claire wouldn't be so eager to open a factory and sell iodized salt. But now Claire has to solve the salt-making machine. Salt making from seawater is not as simple as imagined. It is not simply to boil the seawater. There are many impurities in the seawater. Sift it out to get clean sea salt. However, even if you get clean sea salt, it is still inedible. There are still many heavy metals that are harmful to the human body. You have to use their different solubility at different temperatures to add water many times to dissolve the heavy metals in the water and then remove them. This is the best way to get edible salt, and in the last step, you have to add an appropriate amount of iodine to it, which is considered a successful production of iodized salt. The first thing to solve is heat. Claire first engraved a modified fire magic circle on the machine furnace that needs to be heated, which can emit enough heat to cook seawater into coarse salt, and he does not need to be in the factory. Only need to connect a first-level Warcraft crystal core or magic mine with magic power as energy, and the energy in it can be enough to run the machine for a month. This also eliminates the trouble of burning firewood, and can better control the temperature to avoid accidents. And the kinetic energy on the conveyor belt is provided by the energy of these magic mines and the crystal core of Warcraft. Not only that, but Claire also created a machine for extracting iodine, and the process of adding iodine also uses machines. As for the precipitation of heavy metals at different temperatures in the back, pouring in water, and taking out the wastewater containing heavy metals, etc., you have to use workers. If you use magic, not to mention that Claire's current level is difficult to manufacture, and it is not enough. There must be workers coming. The factory that was so developed in the previous life still needs to hire workers. Claire dare not say that his machine is more developed than the previous life. At least these machines are operated separately, and the iodized salt can only be extracted by the workers moving the raw materials they make. After working for several days, Claire finally got all these machines out. They were different from the machines in the previous life. The appearance of using magic gave people a different feeling. However, Claire is still very satisfied. This is the result of her labor these days. A euro, a euro. In the capital city, a luxuriously decorated shop was built on the bustling street in the capital city, and passers-by passed by and cast curious glances inside. This new store has just opened and I haven't heard of what it sells in it, but the decoration alone is enough. It gives people a feeling that the goods inside are not cheap, but just looking at the luxurious storefront, many people do not even have the courage to walk in. However, there were people coming and going in Wangdu, and there was someone who came in curiously. What are you selling? A middle-aged man with a pot belly and a monocle walked in with a scepter. Your shop is new, right? I've never seen it before. Welcome. One of the service staff, one with a smile on his face, please come with me, this is what we sell. The man with the single-piece mirror walked over to the goods display table and looked at it. Isn't this salt? Yes, but this salt has a miraculous effect. It can prevent big neck disease. The salesperson was still introducing. The man with the single-piece mirror listened to the salesperson's introduction, and then glanced at the package containing the salt, thinking that it would be good if he bought another one. He asked, "It's pretty good from what you said, how much did I buy it for?" The sales clerk's mouth that was still eloquent just now got stuck, and he hesitated for a long time before saying, 100. 1 gold coin is just 1 gold coin, so why say 100 silver coins, doesn't it seem too much? I gave it. No sir, it's a box of 100 gold coins. The salesman said it anyway. What? The pot-bellied man jumped up immediately. You guys are robbery. Even this box of broken salt dares to sell 100 gold coins. You are greedy. I don't think this shop will close in a few days. The man scolded and left the store. He ran a restaurant in the capital. Although he was not a rich man, he was rich, but he was only rich and not sick. He spent 100 gold coins to buy a box. He still can't do the behavior of salt, even if the salt has any effect on preventing big neck disease. It only cost 4 or 5 gold coins to go to the priest for treatment by yourself. As for buying such expensive salt. After the guests left, the salesman sighed and walked back to the rest area. Sha-en is also lying in the rest area and eating snacks. The business here is very important. He has to sit here to feel at ease. Leave it to the person below to do it. As soon as he saw Sha-en, the salesman complained with a bitter face, "Boss, this is already the 5th customer. They all feel that the items are too expensive, and the goods can't be sold at all, otherwise we will sell the goods. Order the price, I promise to sell you 3 gold coins." But Sha-en still had a calm look on his face, and waved his hand, "Just keep busy, go to receive guests when they come. Don't worry about these things, those people can't afford it, it means that these products are not for them. Prepare." Sha-en is not worried at all about whether the items can be sold or not. He has already contacted all the doctors. It cost him 8,000 gold coins. He started planning this evening. After the newspaper is released tomorrow, everyone in the capital will know that there is a kind of iodized salt for sale here. As for what happened just now, he didn't take it to heart at all. This batch of iodized salt was not prepared for these ordinary businessmen, but to make them famous. Yes, this batch of iodized salt is not sold as a condiment or a drug commodity, but as a luxury product, and the target customers are also those high-ranking nobles. First, spend money to buy those doctors to let them publish reports to prove the effectiveness of iodized salt. After the report is published, many people will be interested in the iodized salt sold in their shops, but they are not their final target customers, because these people are large. Most of them will definitely turn their heads and leave when they see the price of iodized salt, but they can't hold it back. Because 100 gold coins is still too expensive, it is better to spend a few gold coins to go to church for baptism. But these people are not the last customers. The price of the customers is different. You think a pair of shoes is a few $100s more, but others dare to sell tens of thousands of dollars for luxury goods. You think a canvas bag can hold things. Okay, but there are still people who are willing to buy tens of thousands of Hermes bags that can't hold much stuff. www.mtlnovel.com. Do you think diamonds are just stones, but there are still people who are willing to pay tens of millions to buy them. Sometimes you think a product is expensive, it means that the customer they are targeting is not you. The latter is the key, and it is what Shane admires Claire the most. Spread panic, link iodized salt with IQ, life, and physical health, and give people a psychological hint that if your child doesn't eat this iodized salt, it may have a lower IQ than other people s children. If your wife does not eat this iodized salt, it may lead to miscarriage. If you do not eat this iodized salt, it may cause your body to be weaker than others. The panic spread, and those customers who thought that iodized salt was not worth it suddenly changed their minds and felt that it would not be a big loss if they bought it for 100 gold coins. Don't think it's useless to spread panic. During the epidemic in Claire's previous life, any rumor could increase the amount of rice he usually eats several times, and when the news of the shortage of masks spread, the number of masks increased dozens of times. It is even said that this kind of panic is directly linked to IQ. Those nobles are definitely willing to spend money at this moment. They spend more than 100 gold coins a day, so they can't let their children lose at the starting line. And one last trick, scarcity. There are only 500 boxes. You think it is a bit expensive. Others who are richer than you do not think it is expensive. If you hesitate, they will all buy them, and you will not even be able to grab the box. In the end, all the great nobles in the capital have it in their homes, but you don't have this in your home, you lose the face to go out and say hello to others. So that's why Shane isn't worried about whether the price of 100 gold coins can be sold at all. The next thing will be left to time. Chapter 59. Run away. In the morning, before the sun came out, Claire pushed open the door and walked out, holding a strange black seed in her hand, her brows a little hard to open. These days, she's been dizzy, and when she reacts, Claire also finds out that the trading points have been accumulated again, and she can use trading points to add friends from the friend list anyway, so Claire didn't save it and started trading directly. And this black seed was what he traded, for which he paid 2 full bottles of primary healing potions, which were 6 gold coins. But this is the first time he has met a trader who pulls his hips, a little girl. After asking the other side about the situation in the world, he found that it was a plain where plants were grown, and he didn't have anything he needed at all. You said if there is a hybrid rice, it would be fine, but I have asked and I have not heard of it. Holding on to the thief and not leaving. Bah. According to the principle of losing money if you don't pick it up when you go out, Claire still made a transaction with the other party, and this black seed was the thing from the transaction. Looking left and right, he still couldn't see anything strange. It seems that every time I trade, I can get what I want. Claire is now giving herself a preventive shot to avoid a greater gap in her heart when she trades in the future. However, it might still be useful. Claire intends to give this seed to Rona and let her feed it to see if there is any strangeness. The little girl who traded this black seed is very precious. If she hadn't fooled the little girl with a set, she might not have been able to trade it. As for the salt factory, it's almost done. Just yesterday, when Claire was built, he brought his own machinery and installed it. After Reagan recruits people, he can start work directly. Now there is finally no need to post notices for recruiting people, and Reagan finally has a few literate people who can handle errands for him. As for the conditions of recruiters, Claire still chooses literacy as a priority. One is to promote adults in Nafu City to go to night school to read and literate, and the other is to be able to quickly become familiar with the operation of the machine after literacy, which also shows that these people are willing to bear hardships and stand hard work, even if after the machine is updated, it will be able to learn quickly. Of course, the salary is also a lot. 30 silver coins per person per month, which almost catches up with the basic salary level of some big cities. No amount can be given, but it's not that Claire can't afford it, but too high may have a negative effect. €. Rona's hospital is not far from the Viscount's mansion. It took a few minutes to get there by carriage. It was only after Claire approached that she noticed that there was a sign posted on the door saying that it is temporarily open today. Did you go to collect medicine? Claire guessed. Most of Rona's healing methods are related to herbs and some magical plants, so when she is often short of medicines, she runs to the branch mountain range of the demonic beast mountains to pick up some herbs. And now Claire has brought in a few regular doctors from other places to open clinics in various places in Nafu City, so Rona's work is not so tedious. Usually, she is only responsible for treating difficult diseases that doctors can't solve. It is very easy to sit in the green yard and blow the wind every day. Alright, let's go home. Claire returned to the Viscount's mansion, and got into the basement to start experiments. He had a lot of inspiration when he built the salt-making machine. In the afternoon, Claire went to the salt factory again, and began to teach the recruited workers how to operate the machines and to separate the wastewater containing heavy metals. Then he nodded after watching them go through the process. Although it is still not smooth enough, after a few days of work, the operation is very smooth. After reading it, it was almost night, the sun had already set, and this city of Nafu was gray. Claire got on the carriage of the Viscount mansion and planned to go back, but when she was halfway there, she suddenly thought of Rona. She should be back at this time. Don't go back first, go to the hospital where Dr. Rona is. As the carriage drove to the hospital, Claire jumped out of the carriage and took a look inside. The hospital's lights were now on. It seems to be back. Then he instructed the driver to wait here, and walked over by himself. As soon as she arrived at the door of the hospital, Claire smelled a stench of iron and frowned, the smell of blood. He took out the revolver with his backhand, and with the other hand he also held a third-level magic scroll, leaned against the wall, and threw an exploration magic into it. Huh. Claire wondered. According to the magic feedback, there was only one person's life information, but even so, Claire walked in cautiously. Then he saw Rona, who had no blood on her face, holding on to the medicine cabinet where she put medicine, and rummaging in it for herbs to treat her injuries. Claire's pupils shrank, hurriedly threw the prepared weapon and magic scroll back into the space ring, and quickly walked up to support Rona. Rona wanted to struggle for a while, but Claire immediately said, "Don't move, leave it to me." Although Rona didn't know what Claire meant, she stopped struggling. Claire saw the wound on her body only after getting up close. A scratch on her back directly cut through the flesh and blood to see the bones inside, and there were also several holes in the chest that were as thick as steel pipes, and the rest of the body was more or less scratches, but those scratches are scarred. It should be Rona who treated herself, but the most serious wounds are still bleeding out. Claire threw out a magic hand and pulled the hospital bed over, picked up Rona and placed it on it, connecting her mentally. "Don't move, I have a potion in my hand for emergency." Claire took the lead in passing the words. Rona opened her mouth, but couldn't say anything, so she nodded. Next, Claire took out a large amount of primary healing potion from the space ring and poured it onto Rona's wound like a bath water. These were all made by him before practicing his hands, so he didn't feel bad. Yu read www.Yequan poured nearly 40 or 50 small bottles of the primary healing potion, the blood on Rona finally stopped. Only then did Claire come up with an intermediate level healing potion. He still had a 40% chance of failure when he made this potion. Even when he traded, these potions were not used. They were much more valuable than primary level healing potions. He also poured nearly a dozen bottles of intermediate healing potions into Rona's most serious wounds, and those wounds didn't look that serious. Claire wiped the sweat from her forehead. This is the best he can do. After all, he is only a magician, not a doctor. Then he asked with concern, "How are you feeling now? Do you want me to call the pastor?" Rona's face was still pale, but it was much better than before. "I can move, I can treat the rest of the injuries myself, thank you." When she said the last two words, Rona's voice suddenly became smaller. "Stand up. There's no need to be so polite between us," Claire said softly, but her tone became weaker and weaker as she spoke, and her eyes couldn't help but move away from Rona's face. "I didn't realize it when I poured the potion, and now I have come to my senses." Now, the clothes on Rona's body are all wet by herself, which perfectly shows her figure, plus those clothes that are torn by scratches. The exposed skin is even bigger, and now it is completely the temptation to get wet. Rona also followed Claire's gaze to look at her body, and her face suddenly turned red. I'll go change a dress." After that, he got up and ran towards his bedroom. Seeing Rona fleeing, Claire had to touch her nose in embarrassment. His original intention was actually to save people. Chapter 60. Wind Wolf King. After Rona walked back to the room and changed into a new dress, she went to the medicine cabinet to rummage through the herbs, and got herself a potion for oral administration. After drinking it with the healing magic, her face turned rosy. "Didn't you go to collect medicine? Why are you still injured?" Claire asked with concern. Rona was still in the embarrassment that just happened, her face was still a little flushed. "I was attacked by a monster while collecting medicine." Claire's eyes flickered. This is the big treasure of Nafu City, nothing can go wrong. Let some knights follow you when you go out in the future, to ensure safety. Rona shook her head. No, it's just an accident. She was still not used to being followed to protect her. That's okay. You tell me you were attacked by monsters in that area, and tomorrow I'll ask Hunter to bring people and magic scrolls to wipe out all the monsters that threaten you in that area. Hearing these words, Rona's heart warmed, but she shook her head abruptly. No, this situation won't happen in the future. She felt that Claire didn't have to go to great lengths to do these things for herself. You are a member of Nafu City, and you are the best doctor in Nafu City. How can you ignore it when you are attacked? Tell me, what kind of monster attacked you? Rona hesitated for a while, but finally said, the Gale Wolves. I didn't find any medicine in the fast area before. It should be the Gale Wolves that wandered over recently. The Gale Wolves. Claire wondered. Rona nodded. Yes, that's a pack of 100 or so wolves, and there's a second-level Hurricane Wolf King. The wounds in the back are from it. Claire's eyes suddenly lit up. It's okay if you don't say so. I'll give you another reason to avenge you. In Rona's eyes, those were more than 100 vicious beasts, but in Claire's eyes, they were more than 100 mounts that ran faster than Hunt and the others. I was still worried about where to buy so many mounts, but now they are delivered to my door. Stop talking. Claire waved her hand. I'll go there tomorrow too. What? Oh yes. I came to see you today on business. Claire took out the black seed from her bosom. Here's to you, see what you can plant. What is this? Rona took it and felt it. Magic plant. Claire shook her head. I don't know either. What I found when I was packing should be passed down from my ancestors. Do you think it's a magical plant? Rona closed her eyes again and felt it carefully. There is indeed magic flowing in it. It should be a magical plant. Claire smiled slightly. It seemed that the seed that was traded was not useless at all. Then leave it to you. Anyway, I don't know what I can cultivate. Rona nodded and put away the black seeds. She has magic that can make plants grow quickly. In a few days, she will be able to see what this magic plant is. Let's rest early. We will set off together tomorrow. Claire smiled, then said goodbye to Rona and walked out of the yard. Claire. Suddenly, a shout came from behind. Claire stopped and looked back. The sentence just now was not from the spiritual connection, but from Rona herself. I just learned this sentence. Rona said weakly. Claire then remembered that she had called the other party to learn common tongue before, and then blinked. The common tongue you speak is not standard. Rona's face flushed again. She had learned it for a long time, and Claire smiled and slipped out, lest the other party smash him into anger. €1. The next day, Claire took Hunter and more than 30 knights and rode out of Nafu City on horses, with Rona as a guide, and ran towards the branch mountain range of the Beast Mountains. At the foot of the mountain, everyone dismounted and began to enter the mountain. Claire put a light technique on herself, but she could still keep up with their pace. After entering the mountain range, the next thing was to listen to Rona. She led the crowd to turn left and right and walked in the forest for an unknown amount of time. Claire thought she had a good sense of direction, but when she got here, it is expected that it will be difficult for him to even go back the same way, but Rona is still very comfortable. Rona suddenly stopped the crowd. Stop. I smell them here. It should have been less than 2 hours since I left. Claire nodded at Hant. Hant immediately took the more than 30 knights and started to lay traps in an orderly manner. Claire was not idle, and set up a few magic circles on the ground that could trap the wolves. Then he began to find some herbs nearby to cover up the atmosphere of the crowd. The next step is to wait quietly. After another hour or two, there was movement on the trap set up. First there was a thumping sound, followed by a wolf howling, and then the scattered wolves met the ones that Claire arranged. A magic circle, the howls of wolves echoed in the forest one after another. Go. Claire gave an order, and Hunter rushed up with someone, followed by Claire and Rona. When I arrived at the scene, I found that more than 50% of the wolves had fallen into the trap, and there was a wolf king who was obviously different from the other wolves and exuded silver light. The wolves inside were rescued. And this is why Claire set up traps. If it is just ambush, even if the wolves are defeated, they will use their own advantages to run away. That is the wind-type monster, not to mention Claire and others in the forest chasing after them, not on. And if more than 50% of the wolves were trapped, the Wolf King would definitely not be able to abandon so many wolves to escape, otherwise the entire wolves would be severely damaged and could only confront Claire and the others head-on. Go and restrain those wolf cubs who are not trapped. Hunt ordered, and the knights in armor rushed up immediately. However, Hante's eyes were staring at the Gallowend Wolf King in front of him. The Gallowend Wolf King also stopped and continued to attack the magic circle. A pair of sinister eyes kept scanning Hant's body. Ow! The Wind Wolf King roared in the sky. Then the four claws grabbed the ground hard, and the whole wolf turned into a silver wind and attacked Hant. Hant's pupils shrank, and he couldn't see the opponent's movements at all. He could only use the big sword across his chest as a defense. Boom! The sound of the impact sounded, and Hunter was repelled by 2 or 3 steps, while the corner of the Wolf King's mouth showed a humanized mockery, and he arched his body to strike again. Boom! A blue lightning strike sprang from Claire's fingertips, hitting the head of the Gallowend Wolf King. The Wind Wolf King jumped back, dodging the blow, and the place he was standing before was blasted into a big hole by the lightning strike. Reading www.uakanshu.com. The Wind Wolf King, who had dodged a blow, turned his gaze from Hunter to Claire, with a look of fear in his eyes, and at the same time his body slowly retreated. But Hunter also saw it at this time, the opponent was not retreating at all, but was accumulating energy. Immediately, his body flashed and stopped in front of Claire. In the next second, the Wolf King slammed towards Claire, but he was stopped by Hunter, so he could only slap a claws on Hunter's chest angrily, tore open 3 large holes in his armor, and the flesh and blood inside was also turned out. Huh. Hunter breathed a sigh of relief. The injury was not serious with the armor blocking him, but it would have been bad if the shot just fell to Lord. Rona, who was behind her, immediately performed a healing technique on Hunter in front of her, almost instantly healing the injury. Seeing that his attack didn't work, the Wolf King was treated instead. He grinned angrily, revealing his white teeth, and a powerful aura emanated from his body. Hunt out of the way, this is a magic attack, your armor can't stop it without this enchantment. Claire, a magician, sensed it with just her breath. Sure enough, the Wolf King opened his mouth, and a wind blade condensed on its mouth, and then attacked Hunter at a very fast speed, but Hunter turned over and avoided the blow with Claire's reminder. Claire squeezed out a wind blade with her backhand and shot it towards the wind blade. The two collided. Claire's wind blade was regarded as smashed into pieces, but the wind blade launched by the Wolf King was also disrupted. He turned in the direction and shot elsewhere. The direction of the shot collapsed an unknown number of big trees, and the power caused by it was no less than Claire's previous lightning strike. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.